Welcome, everybody. Well, wait, I should do this. There you go. There you go. The courtesy of my great friend, the wonderful, lovely, beautiful Daisy Blossom Flower Child, who came in with this great one for yesterday out on Twitch. And hey, a parody on the most famous meme that's out there. Speaking of the great Daisy Blossom Flower Child, let's bring her in here right now. Daisy, how are you tonight? And how did you come up with this?
Because obviously the more famous quote is for him to be screaming "con" into a microphone he's got buried in his hand, and I forget exactly what the thread was, but you were being funny and I was screeching at you.
Ah, that's cool. I like being screeched at. You know what I mean? Any attention's good attention. But hey, all right. Well, thank you. Great to have you tonight. We got another one of our people here that's from the good old. It's like Buck Rogers reunion. What you can't really have a Star Trek stream without the captain. Well, who was temporarily an admiral himself. Here he is. Welcome aboard, Admiral on the bridge, Captain on the bridge, JT Kirk. JT, how are you tonight?
Good evening. Good evening. Hello, Daisy. Hello, Deadman.
Hey.
Crew in the chat, take your stations. We're about ready to go over the best movie ever made.
Correct.
There's not even a question mark on that, but yes, there you go. Move over Citizen Kane. Move over All Quiet on the Western Front. Blah, blah, blah. It's this one. It's this one.
Yes. So that
just wait for my final score on it. You'll be surprised. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But hey, also thank you for inviting me as a special guest on this show.
Yes,
you know my feelings on this show. Well, so when you sent me the invitation to be on with the two, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to violate your rating for your channel already, but bleep yes. So there you go.
There you go. Yes. Yep. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's get into the crew. The crew that's out there. It's the great chat that we got. We got 17 people here all ready tonight, so they're on fire. Let's get going because what I'm going to do, I'm going to greet the chat real quick. Then I'm going to tell you why we're here tonight, and then I'm going to get some initial thoughts from both Daisy Blossom and JT Kirk. As you can see, JT's so excited with this movie, he can't contain himself already. So, well, let's go. Of course, great the lead-off batter, the polar bear from Pinellas County, Snortopoopas Cooper. Howdy, sir. Good to see you. Not to be outdone by the number 2 hitter in the 2-hole, Dave C. with his low pan eyes that freak me out all the time. Still another movie I have never seen before. So, hey. The movies just keep on coming of what I have not seen. Putin's cat, Con. Okay, well, I like Daisy's Dad Man. I love it. So, hey, good to see you tonight. And hey, JT Kirk, hello all backstage, virtual green room. Ready to rumble. Well, maybe so. You know, I'll tell you why we're here in just a minute. That's very appropriate. You put that. Get ready to rumble, JT. When I mentioned why we're here to everybody. Max Redstone, how can I in good conscience call it at the movies when we know for sure that it's only seen the Wrath of Khan once? And hello's a blast from the past. I wish Atwood was here. Killer Rabbit from space saying hello to everyone. The great greetings, everyone from Daisy Blossom Flower Child. Yes, Max Redstone, you asked the hard questions. Yes, that's why you get banished to the chat. Or ask one of my coworkers. That's why you don't put something in the suggestion box. All right, good job. Oh, hey, Killer Rabbit, Polar Bear Rug, and Snortopoopas calling them Mittens. Hey, back to old times. So Killer Rabbit says it's their favorite movie. Star Trek movie, yes. Brogu, hello, Brogu. How are you tonight? Bucky's Crafting, great to see you, my friend. Hope you can make it back, but hey, enjoy the evening, and thanks for coming by. Everybody, make sure you hit that like button, share out the stream, bring everybody else in if you can. We got 18 here right now, right off the bat. Tim, FKHD 2005, Con, welcome into you tonight. Pecan, no, it's pecan. Snort poopus, it's pecan. Sorry. All right, hey. All right. And
that was so loud, I bet Aang had to mute on stream hearing that thing.
Oh, which one?
Probably the whole state probably heard your con scream. That was impressive.
Well, thank you.
The Dad Man one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My microphone must cancel, my headphones must cancel sound because he cut out. So I figured it must be very loud.
Well, I held it out really long. Breath control is very important. Do enough karaoke, it's a very important thing, being able to breathe and hold your breath and hold that note long. And Masters, good to see you tonight. Yes, I hear it's a great movie. Praise the con. Yes, is what we hear. So, all right. Mr. Niblick, yes, this might be an okay movie. All right, we got to have this. Yeah,
that's one of my buddies from growing up, so he's already trying to get under my skin there.
There
trying
you
to get
go.
Me to rage quit this or something. I don't know. He knows.
Let me get through the chat, and we're going to talk exactly about that. That's kind of why we're here. Fallout Dave, welcome. Good to see you tonight. I think I got an 8.4, 9.2, 9.1, 8.9. I guess 8.4 is the Russian judge, right? So, crew, it's my ship.
No, the Klingon judge.
Klingon judge.
Klingons.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Let's see. I'm going to be 18 plus like the missus. No, not tonight. It's we're going to have fun talking about a movie here that we love. So we always try to respect our themes and stuff when we do stuff like that too. I mean, there might be something that might be laughable, but we try to have PG-13 or PG. Yeah, but you know what? It depends on the context of what we're going. If there's a good softball, hey, we hit 20 people watching. Yes.
Woohoo.
Hey, yes, we're here tonight because I'm too cheap to pay for actual group therapy. There you go. Then the missus is here. Missus, was that loud enough for you? I'm sure she heard it in the other room. Yes, and thank you for putting a link out to Dave C's new channel out there at Dave C10. Go check him out. He's just getting started. Mrs. Yes, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, we're at 657 now. I appreciate it. Yeah, JT said, hope it didn't blow your ears out with that con scream. Yes. So, okay, struggle session. Oh, very cool. Oh, Pat Pune's not old enough to have seen this movie.
No worries. I'm old enough to have.
Oi, entertain me. I'm impatiently waiting for the day to end so I can get my new desks tomorrow. Oh, what, for work or for your stuff at home for your dioramas and all? Yeah, that's cool. Well, good. I mean, hey, always love new equipment, don't y'all?
No.
I mean, maybe. I need a little more than that.
Yes, I was going to say, it does depend. I mean, if it's just like a basic chair, yes, fine, probably, if I don't have to put it together.
Oh, yeah, that's the fun around our house. The marital, it'll test your marriage. Yes, exactly. That's couples therapy, putting furniture together or doing home improvements. Yes. Yep. So that's why I usually just leave it to the missus. She does such a great job. Then she gets mad. Like, I'm like, hey, do it all. I won't question. Just do it. And she's like, I need your help. But hey, anyway, stunning. Good to see you tonight. Oh, let's see.
Oh, wow. Look at this. You just had 2 wrenches walk through the door.
All right. Let's get down there. Let's see. Oh, man. Oh, Mr. Niblick said into darkness. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah.
He's out.
Right. Yep. Well, you keep trolling a little bit later. We have like that. So let's go.
I'm keeping my trolling to a minimum.
No, it's okay. I'm going to. Hey,
Phaser
there's Sci-Fi
stun.
Mommy. What's up, party people? All right. Mark D with a C. It's true. Yes, it's true. Only twice. The second time, stay around. We will reveal how I think with this now after the second time. All right. So Stunning said you get 2 desks, one for drawing, one for Lego. All right. Expand his Transformer collection. Nice. Good to see that. Okay. And we are caught up with the chat. All right. Twice a week? Well, you never know. Oh, gosh. This movie is what happens when you don't shoot the villain into the nearest sun on a TV show. Exactly. Exactly so. All right. With 20 of y'all watching, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you look at this son of a bitch right here. Excuse me. I love you, Hungry. Good to see you tonight. Yes, I heard that, dude. I am glad that you're safe and checking in here. And hopefully we do you proud and you enjoy this and have some laughs tonight. Yeah. So,
Yes.
hey, he is in a good location. That is good to hear. And sounds like you've got an internet connection. So that's always good. So, all right. And I did say that B word affectionately for him because, we all know our late night streams. All right. How did we get here? Before I ask y'all to give you his original thoughts. Well, you already heard JT tease a little bit on my New Year's stream where I tried to go every time zone around the world, ringing in the new year. JT and Dave C came on to bail me out. They kept the stream going because I was really struggling, and they did. And somehow we got on Star Trek a bit, and we're talking, and Wrath of Khan was brought up, and I'm like, Wrath of Khan was meh. Well, you see JT's avatar right there. This man has always been on that avatar. Never showed his face before. Then all of a sudden, he got so worked up. He did a face reveal live on stream that day for the first time. That's how it worked. And he stared at me like, it's like hilarious. That's how passionate it was to even just a meh about it. I will say the reason
in hearing that, my blood pressure cuff is already like straining right now.
I know. Well, I'm going to hold off before I go too far with that because I don't want to. I'm trying to not. I mean, did I like it this time? Did I think it stink? Is it meh again? We don't know. Daisy and JT have no clue either right now.
Oh no, we don't.
We've been trying
to tease it. Go ahead.
Star Trek is man, not Star Trek. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, JT.
I was gonna say we've been trying to tease it out of you on X/Twitter like all week with a bunch of posts back to you. Like we've been trying to just see if we can weasel it out of you a little bit. Well, at least I have. I know some other people have too, and no. So
That's why I turned my notifications off. Yeah, and guys, we don't actually talk much before. So JT and I don't actually know what Dadman's feelings were upon his only second viewing of the show. And the other thing is that I will point out that when we did the second Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, which escapes me the name, neither of us liked the movie, and upon watching it again, Dadman decided that he did like the movie. So even if he didn't, we might be able to sway him, people.
I liked it better. I still hate it. I still don't like the background and stuff. It's still not like our normal German bad guys, but at least it was not nuke the fridge and whatever the fifth one was. And hell, to Phantom Outsider, welcome in tonight. And sci-fi love twalk. Oh, Wrath of Khan, got it. Okay, I get used to twalk. What's twalk? I get in trouble just reading stuff straight.
Wrath of
Canada.
They're close. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to know something weird that I learned today, Dadman?
Yeah, this is a question we need to watch here. I will try to post it to come back to that later as we talk. Yeah, go ahead, JT. Tina's here, by the way.
France is actually in North America. There is an island off of Newfoundland that is actually still part of France. They use the euro, speak only French, and you need a passport from Canada to get there.
Wow.
Which was weird. I thought, Canada was all Canada. Nope. There's part of France right there. So
Well-
if you want to go to France, you can get there much quicker than going all the way over the Atlantic. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Squirrel Stream tonight. So
No, I know, because on one of our recent squirrel streams, we talked about the very suggestive and naughty names in Canada. If you ever want some funny names to watch that are really weird, check out Canada. It's definitely got some funny cities names. So we're here because of New Year's Eve. Remember New Year's Eve, New Year's night. So, okay, like I said, prior to today, I watched it one time. And I don't want to say too much. I'll say more about the first time I watched it later when I go to reveal. But Daisy, where were you? What were your memories about the first time you saw this movie, and why did it really click with you?
Okay, so it was released in June of 82, which would be 4 months before I met my hubby, would have been my future husband at the time. I went to the movie with my father. I am old, so I actually was privileged to watch Star Trek, the TV series, as it was being aired in 1966 to 1969. So we did like this particular episode. And we'd immediately gone to see the first movie, and not fans, let's just keep it that way. Neither of us, being lifelong sci-fi fans, liked that movie. And it was very sad because we were such Star Trek fans. So we did not go see this movie day one. We waited to hear some reviews, which isn't like now. You can't immediately go on Twit and tell everybody what you think. So we had to wait a little while, and then it got very, very good reviews. So we went ahead and saw it, and I think you can tell we absolutely loved it.
All right. JT, how about you?
Well, I was born a few years after the movie released, so I had to come of age before I was really able to see it. So I believe I saw it around the age of 11 or 12. It was in the 90s. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And the memory of it that I took away after the first time I watched it was, this is starting off pretty cool. It's going. Oh crap, there's a bunch of bugs going into somebody's ear, and I don't think I slept for about 3 nights.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I saw an earwig for the rest of that summer, it was time to run away. So
yes.
But yeah, no, I was definitely on the younger end of things, but I was so into TNG. Actually sat through the whole motion picture, and my dad was kind enough to find everything on VHS from the library and let me watch in order. So that's cool. Back in the day, I don't even know if he remembers doing that, but I sure do. And then watching the Search for Spock after this was kind of like okay, I can calm down a little bit. The bugs aren't going to get me, but that was so real to me. We'll get to that part later, obviously, but since then, gosh, I mean, I obviously got over my fear of that scene, but have watched it countless times since. So I did not get a chance to go to the theater until I think I saw it for was it in theater for the 35th or just the 40th? I can't remember, but it was definitely an anniversary release was the first time for me.
Well, let me say hello to RRT and Z. Good to see you. I'm going to catch up on the chat too real quick. Snorpoopus said Saint Pierre and Miquelon. Bucky, if you're around, listen. Saint Pierre and Miquelon. Oui.
Yes, those are the islands that are off France that are off of Newfoundland.
Exactly.
Yes.
So 1982. Oh gosh, this is a funny one. Had to get filler in my knee. Turns out one of my knees is devoid of cartilage. Doctor could not explain. However, suspect it was extracted by bears who might be polar. Mark says, how do you immediately not want to watch it again? Well, we will come back to that maybe a little bit later. So, all right. Let's see. All right. So let's see. Putin's Cat did see Star Trek 3-4 in the theaters. This movie recently in the last year had a tour where they came through town where William Shatner hosted a screening of it. We had an opportunity to go. I passed on it only because there was too much other stuff going on. Life truly got in the way that kept us. And Sashi's here. I'm here for Ricardo Montalban's chest. Ricardo. I can't do it like hungry. Ricardo Montalban's chest.
Ricardo.
Fine Corinthian leather. Anyway, Snortopoopus.
The plane. Sorry.
Hey, Snortopoopus actually has a fond memory of a former girlfriend. Oh no, sorry. Fonder memories of the movie than I have of her. Sorry about that, Snortopoopus. Oh gosh, let's see who else we got here. Let's see. Oh yeah, Kirstie Alley. We know that we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, all right. But yeah, it was really, really interesting how they did it. I will say, I thought about going. I thought about going to it. I would have done it had we could have pulled it off. The tickets were not that bad, but you actually had a chance that if you paid for the top package, you could actually do a meet and greet with Shatner. So it was one of those, if you're a Star Trek fan, and they toured around the country, it's like one of those things that you, it's just really, really cool. It was really, really cool concept, So, all right. Let's go.
You shared Mark's memory of when he first saw it?
Where did I miss it there?
It's up just a little ways. I have it here. He says he got to see The Wrath of Khan at a world premiere in '82 and got to meet Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah. Oh wow! Okay,
and he got signed memorabilia.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
The ticket. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just a little jealous. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I know, Harley. Well, that's why I thought about with the thing with Shatner. I mean, that would have been really, really cool to do, especially if you're wanted to meet him. And it really wasn't that bad priced of a VIP package. So, yeah, it really wasn't.
I almost got to meet Nichelle Nichols. However, when we were trying to make arrangements, I got ill. So I didn't get to go. And my husband was like, yeah, we'll pay the money. You get to go up and talk to her in the whole 9 yards. And I didn't get to go.
Oh no. I hate when things like that don't work out, but it's really cool concept. So today to things like that. So, I can't say anything bad about Star Trek Night because one of my clients is on the panel. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad he's employed you then. Stunning.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. RRTZ says, I'm going to have to start picking. Wrath of Khan is perfection, such that if they had never made any other films or Star Trek shows after that, it would have been a perfect ending to the series. What do y'all think with that comment?
I would agree, but it would be a sad ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could end it there if you wanted to. I mean, we know there's so many more, but I don't think any of the others hold a candle to it quite like this one.
It would be like, as a Star Wars fan, ending Star Wars after Empire Strikes Back. Like, what was this thing? We're ending with this. I understand. But the point I think that he meant that this is such a good quality for the movie, and that's good to hear. So, so Sashi said watching Star Trek Nemesis in theaters was weird. It was just me and a couple. They weren't there for the movie. It was awkward. Oh, wow. Hey, I missed it. Anyway, sorry.
It was awkward because they were doing taxes, and it was
exactly. I love doing taxes at the movie theater. Why do you think I like to take the missus off to the movies all the time? So
she holds the calculator.
Oh my gosh, I'm blushing now. Yeah. What? Yeah, she holds the calculator. Okay, that's a good thing.
I mean, if you make too much noise, you could really get in some balance sheet.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
I know.
Moving on.
Be on the right side of that ledger.
Accounting jokes. Here we go, folks.
See, that's the best we got, folks. I'm trying to break mold for accountants, but that's the best we got. Master said that he was in Hamburg promoting a book he wrote, I think, talking about Nimoy. First, he was not pleased my dad brought him for Star Trek, but then he took a minute. I don't know if that. So, oh, good.
At least he was.
I remember being
enough to
nice
do
with me, and that I asked my dad for weeks why he lost his ears if he is sick. So, that's
fair
okay.
questions.
Yeah, 10 of 10. Stunning said 10 of 10, although he can barely remember other than Spock's death. So okay. All right. So let's talk about as we do. Oh, all right. So she was operating the abacus. You guys. Okay. I opened the door for that one. But hey, listen, we're keeping it highbrow and artsy fartsy tonight. Huh? Yes,
Maybe
we did.
we will.
Yeah, well, we will. We will. I will. We will have class and order on this stream tonight. Nothing against the slide rule either. So hey. All right. Well,
was that a Space Seed reference? We will have order. Oh
no, I didn't. Did I do that by blind? I did not get a chance to see Space Seed.
Accident. Oh,
but
you didn't.
But I did read. I did read about Space Seed. I did read about the. So let me go through the synopsis of this real quick, kind of the plot, and then tell me about Space Seed. Fill in what I missed, because I did see what it was generally about where they were like the experiments and how they met with Kirk. He tried to take over the ship. So I know a lot about Space Seed, but I'll let you describe that a little bit in better detail as we go. And this Wrath of Khan opens it. It's the 23rd century. James T. Kirk is an instructor at Starfleet Academy, feeling old. He's an admiral, but he runs this training exercise. Then he decides to go out. They take the Enterprise for a training mission crew, then get sent to investigate the space station that's under, there's a situation going on. So they're sent out to investigate a situation. As we learn more, we got, as we find then, what is it? The Reliant, I think the Reliant was investigating, was it
yes.
the city
yes.
Alpha 6, or they were a moon of it. And then they, and of course that captain played by Paul Winfield, who I love from Terminator, one of my favorite actors. And then we have Chekhov there making an appearance. They get captured by Khan's people. What they mentioned about the bugs in the ears that control them, and then they get the Genesis product. I'm not big. I have had trouble describing it all, but they take over. They catch the station. They attack Kirk. The Enterprise gets away, escapes, but Kirk and the others are on a planet, and Genesis gets captured by Khan's people, ultimately to use for bad. And then we have a little fighting at the end. And then I'm finding that if I talk too much, that I'm going to go into what I think with this movie. So Terry Rose, welcome in, Terry Rose. Okay, so JT Kirk, all right, and Daisy.
Yes, sir.
Help me. Okay.
Yes.
As we go into this movie, remember you mentioned Space Seed. What did we learn in Space Seed, and how does it set up this episode or this movie?
Daisy, would you like to go ahead?
Oh, well, I'm going to give something quick, and then JT can fill in all the blanks, although I did rewatch it twice recently. It was done in February of 1967. So the idea is that Khan, and I never can say his name right, Noonien Singh, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He is the leader of a group of individuals who are genetic superhumans. And basically, he and several of his followers took over a large part of the world at the time. This would have been in the 1990s. Haha. And anyway, it was not good. So they were all put in stasis on a ship called the Botany Bay, and they were launched to get away from Earth because they were not good for the Earth. They felt superior because they were. They were stronger. They had higher intelligence. They were very cunning, and specifically Khan could be rather cruel because he looked down on regular humans. And in it, when he is woken up, he's trying to play cool cat, and he's taken under his wing by a historian her last name is McGivers. She's the historian on the Enterprise, and she ultimately falls in love with him and wants to leave the ship with him when he does leave. But the neat scene I got was Captain Kirk sat back. They all thought something was up with Khan, but he kind of sat back over a dinner and let Spock sort of attack in a way, until he cornered Khan into losing his cool to show that, hey, yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, Khan gets found out, and then Khan and his people take over the Enterprise, and it takes quite a bit to get it back. And then there's a tribunal, and rather than sending Khan and McIvers and the others to further be imprisoned or whatever, he gives them the opportunity to go to Ceti Alpha 5, which is a rough environment on a planet, but he'd have the whole planet to start a new society. And Khan says yes.
I believe he asks him if he's read Milton at the end there, and they nod at each other.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That's kind of where the deep philosophical part of him comes from. One of the pieces that I guess is the ending line to that Spock says to Kirk at the end is, it would be curious to see in 100 years the fruit of the seed that you've planted today.
Yes,
and
I forgot
so
that. Yes.
That's kind of one of the leadoffs into why this particular story may have been picked. The other thing is Lieutenant Marla McIvers is a central piece to the motivation for Khan in The Wrath of Khan. So those two things, if you get nothing else, that's kind of why it was set up and set up his motivation. Part of the issue between Kirk and Khan as well was there were 72 other people that were still alive, frozen on the Botany Bay, and
Yes.
Kirk would not thaw any of them until they got to the starbase. So that right there kind of let Khan know that Kirk was not playing around. And so that's kind of when things immediately went south, even if you didn't know it watching the episode for the first time. So a pretty cool original series episode. Daisy, nice job giving the synopsis of it. One of my favorite TOS episodes as well. So having those things, we know superhuman, marooned on a planet, has a Starfleet wife, and he's very philosophical, but also has a military power hungry streak.
So I think I remember this quote in Khan, Chekhov, I think, was saying, Captain Kirk was your host. You repaid his hospitality by trying to steal his ship and murder him. And then, RNTC said, who's going to point out that Khan never met Chekhov in the original series? Because he joined the crew after that episode. So, a very interesting
continuity.
Hey, there you go. Oh, well, I guess Chekhov heard secondhand stories, so it is.
Well, the Khan said, I never forget a face.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was a little bit of snickering when not a lot, but a little bit of snickering when that line got delivered. Because everyone you could tell who had watched the original series.
Yeah, because I had
just
no clue.
the normies who kind of went, oh, I like oh, like Star Trek and Star Wars, and there's no difference. And then they wandered in off the street and didn't get it, you know?
Tina said, Dad Man is okay, like Trek Wars. It's like, no, because
well, we know Dad.
I wouldn't.
Dad
I
Man's a
never
Star
caught that,
Wars
and I
fan.
think that's interesting that y'all caught that too. Like R and T and Z had pointed out, that's really really interesting. So absolutely. So, let's see. Mark Spock. It would be interesting, Captain, to return to that world in 100 years and to learn what crop has sprung from the seed you planted today. Yes, Mr. Spock. It would indeed. I guess that's probably from Space Seed then. With that, so yeah. Let's see. Just checking down. The chat's really going quick. If I forget, if you guys see a certain comment you want to do, let me know. But if you are not aware, the let's see. Here we go. Oh yeah. See, Conrad, all the personnel files. So remember, check off from his MySpace page. Oh, there you go, Mark. There you go. That's the way to do it. So,
exactly. There you go.
Yeah. So Star Trek II Wrath of Khan was a 1982 science fiction film directed by Nicholas Meyer based on the television series Star Trek. Second film in the Star Trek film following Star Trek the Motion Picture in 1979, plus also a sequel to, as we mentioned, this television episode Space Seed, which aired in 1967. In this case, this movie features Admiral James T. Kirk and a crew of the USS Enterprise facing off against genetically engineered tyrant Khan Noonien Singh, played by Ricardo Montalban. When Khan escapes from his 15-year exile to exact revenge on Kirk, the crew of the Enterprise must stop him from acquiring a powerful terraforming device named Genesis. And actually, we're going to touch on this in a little bit. I did not know this, though, JT. It goes into something JT shared. It's actually the film is the beginning of a 3-film story arc that continues with Star Trek 3 Search for Spock and concludes with the film Star Trek 4 The Voyage Home. So I did not realize that.
Yes, and there's actually a book that goes over all 3 movies that we'll get to later that kind of goes over that timeline in an interesting way.
I'm getting trolled by masters out here. There you go. Yes, I am wrapping up a case of Foster's just for you, Hungry. I hadn't seen Hungry in a bit, but hey, Hungry, hope you're still out there with us tonight. Oh God, is Mr. Niblick misbehaving out there?
He is.
Okay, all right, good for you. Keep JT going. So, oh God, Snorter Poopus. Walter Koenig told a story at a convention where he proposed the theory that Chekhov is tying up a men's room when Khan really needed to go. Hey, there you go. So in a nutshell, this is really what the movie was about in the largest sense. We actually see quite a few different new people. Like if you look back, I mentioned Paul Winfield in this movie. We also see Kirstie Alley, who played Saavik. It's interesting that this one had a few more well-known faces in it. Are there any other famous actors that y'all remember from this that appeared in this?
Outside of the main crew, no. There are some of the more minor actors and actresses that do appear in later versions or later iterations of Star Trek, whether that be TNG or other things. So they're always minor characters or special guests, but they do make further appearances. So this is the start for some people in this movie, but no big stars that I can think of. Oddly enough, a tidbit of trivia here: Joachim, however you want to say the name, the number 2 mutant, I guess, augment, the one that with the blonde hair that's always talking to Khan and urging him to do things. Right. His agent made a snafu, and as a result, his name did not appear in the credits for the original theatrical release. Yes. So I would be a little disappointed if it were me, because everyone would want to know who you are and you're not in the credits. But hey, there you go.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that is an actor. You put in all the effort and the time, and especially with an effects heavy kind of lots of makeup and stuff. And then you're not in the credits. That would just, no, thank you.
Yeah, that is. Let's see, Judson Scott. Okay, thank you, Terry Rose. Yeah, let's see. What is this, Mark? Oh, that's interesting. So that's Khan's son, and he was in the short-lived TV series The Phoenix. Yeah. Yeah. So there was a baby on the ship too that they filmed, but it didn't make the theatrical cut or director's cut. Plus a line about Savick being half Vulcan, half Romulan.
And that's fine. I believe they had the scene with the baby crawling towards the Genesis device as it was activating, which I kind of don't need to see that.
Yeah.
Right. That's okay. They can cut that.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those scenes. Yeah, we all could live without. So basically, what we said is we have those earbugs are really, really creepy, on the planet, the last of the population of the native population to the planet, and the way they could control the two Federation characters to do what Khan wanted them to do. And they used it to infiltrate Kirk and then ultimately get access down there to where the Genesis was, being hidden away from Khan's people. They tortured everybody, murdered them all, but then, that was still hidden, but then they found them because they went with them. But what I thought was interesting with that was that the way that even though the bugs were still in them, controlling them, they still had the ability to fight back and resist a little bit to some degree, so that the bugs did not completely take over all of them where they could not resist. So what did y'all think with the bug concept?
Yuck.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
absolutely
whole idea,
terrifying.
Khan is so calm, and he's chatting about this is the only, native life form, and the thing is spitting and hissing, and he pulls out these two creepy things that look kind of like gross slugs, and then he's just like he's talking about the weather while he drops them into their helmets, and then puts that back on their head, and I'm like, oh no, oh yuck.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me like bugs. Really wonder, because he has a lack of empathy for others and a lack of conscience or ethics keeping him back. So it is truly the will of the stronger to rule. And Lieutenant McIvers was his wife, and she did not like it in Space Seed when he put Captain Kirk into the pressure chamber and turned the pressure all the way down to try to torture and kill him to get information and control the ship. Right. And she did not like that, and she left. Now we know from the Wrath of Khan with the bug scene that he has not changed one bit. And if you don't remember the old TV episode, well, you certainly know what he's all about now. And I really question how long MacGyver's lasted on that planet, because I don't know how much you love someone. That kind of moral deficit is not something that I think you can meet as a Starfleet officer with somebody who doesn't have it. Right.
Well, yeah, because the way in the movie, he was emotional because it was like his wife died here. But then again, but it didn't explain how. Go ahead.
In Space Seed, it was obvious that she was falling for him. She had studied the time period, and as a historian, to actually get to meet someone from 200 years ago is pretty exciting, except she was just a human. And it went back and forth for me with him kind of leading her on to get information. And then when he first proposed, I'm going to take over the ship, are you with me? And she hesitated, and he basically just pushes her away and says, then leave. When it's obvious that she's falling for him. And he's like, hey, you're either with me or you're not, and I'm not interested in you. I thought you were stronger than that. You're not a strong enough person for me. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
And then she softens a little bit. Until then, the captain is put in this pressure chamber thing, and that's a bridge too far.
Right.
But then in the end, she decides she's given the opportunity to go with him in Space Seed, to go with Khan to SETI Alpha 5, and she says yes. And then Khan seems very pleased about that. So it's very mixed messagey
Mm-hmm.
in the original TV show.
Yeah, it was interesting because I presume watching it that she just died of natural causes or an accident or because of the way the planet had turned, and that's why Khan was really blaming Kirk for her death through extension. So, um, you know, like I said, it's really interesting, and let's take a look at some of the stuff that y'all have done, because what I'm really struggling with. Let's talk about the movie in more details, but I want to get to what I think of it, which is I know what JT is really wanting to get, but let's take, but I want to do it his way, because let's talk about the some of the side stuff with it. Then we'll get more into the plot, because I know I've as you keep bringing stuff up, I do have comments, but when my comments will lead obviously to what I think with the episode. So let's get to the nitty gritty. And hey, Wes Cagle, good to see you tonight. For sure his wife fell victim to this ear creatures. She fell ill.
Good one.
Yeah, I believe that is a line that he says, that those things killed a bunch of people when they first got there.
Yeah,
including
that's what RNTC said he got. So yeah. All right, so let's see. Daisy Blossom, tell us about these wonderful shots of this that you the box sets here.
Okay, so for those of you in the chat who are younger, this is the 25th anniversary box set. These are VHS tapes. We didn't have DVD players. So we waited until the first 5 were put in. So the box, as you can see, has the Enterprise, the NCC 1701. Then the cassettes themselves are fairly large. So the 5 of them on one side make this sort of generic picture of a moon or a couple of moons and a sun, perhaps. I'm not quite sure. And then when you turn them over, which is in another photograph, when you put them back in the box, they make the picture of the Enterprise. You will note, if you look at the 5 of them, 4 of them have been watched, and the first one is still in the original packaging.
Wow. And hello to Liam Greywolf over on the Twitch side. Hey, Liam. Good to see you. Hey.
And that's the theatrical release, isn't it? That's not the director's cut, because
no, these are all the theatrical ones. Yes, yeah. I would have actually watched it on the VHS, but we couldn't find the cord to have our VHS, the old VHS player that belonged to my dad, hooked up to our new TV. We couldn't get the right cords, so I actually watched on a streaming service, and it was the theatrical version, not the director's cut, which is, I believe, what you got to see.
Yeah, and hello to the Peter Vingman fan site. I was given that minus a missing one. Welcome in. Good to see you too. We still got 19 people here. Smash that like button. Tell us in a few minutes. We're going to be at a point where give us more of your thoughts with the movie, but we're looking at this DVD set and our VHS set. So, and we will go from there. Mark loves the TMP. Okay. All right. We'll see that. So Daisy, that's one. And then I love the art, the way it makes a picture of the Enterprise head on.
So that's all 5 tapes. And this is the way I actually store it. So the other side was the outer side of the box. This is the actual individual tapes, and they create the Enterprise for you, which I always thought was really cool. It is my understanding that at least one or two more movies when they went out farther to 6 and maybe 7, I can't remember, that they redid the box set to make the Enterprise go across all of them, but we don't have that. Yeah, this is the 25th anniversary edition, and at that time they only did the first 5 Putin's Cat. They didn't have the 6th one in the box set. This, at the time, I can't remember exactly, but I do remember it was a bit dear, rather expensive for us to even buy this set. So we don't have
a good
the
investment, though. Very
Yeah.
good investment.
Yes.
And here,
So
yeah, for
Sorry.
all you youngsters out there that do not know, this is what a VHS
this
is.
is what the VHS tape looks like.
Yep.
This is what it looks like when it's in one piece and the VHS player has not eaten your tape, which was a thing. And then, so each individual case would have the original poster of the movie. And so that's what the outside of the case looked like. And then what the VHS cassette looked like itself.
Well, folks, and don't forget, back then you always got the reminder, remember to rewind your tapes before you return them to Blockbuster.
Oh, definitely.
Please be kind.
Yeah.
And rewind. We had a rewinder. My father very early on invested in a rewinder, so we didn't have the problem. I might also point out that on this Khan image is quite a bit bigger than the actual members of the Enterprise, because Ricardo Montalban had been an actor for a very long time and was a very, very good actor and a very nice gentleman if you've ever seen any interviews with him. And so he was quite the selling point for this movie.
So Peter Venkman said the fan site said first Trek movie owned was Star Trek 3, which would be The Search for Spock, which comes after this one. Wow, that's really, really, really cool. So, oh gosh, Maniac, yeah, the VHS machines would never feature never-ending story tape. Yes. Well, you know, my dad. It was funny. It was VHS. It brings back a memory of my dad. That he was TV repairman, but I remember to keep growing and keep working, he got into repairing VCRs all the time. So, yep, it was technology. It was something else, and they used to be very, very expensive machines. And then,
I want to point out Liam
remembers. Yes.
Yes, yes, he does. My father taught Liam how to take the thing apart.
That's good.
Put it back together.
That's good. Well, thank you for sharing that, Daisy. And Sci-Fi Mombi also said up here, my granddad and I shared the love of Star Trek. When I would stay with them, it seemed like Wrath of Khan was always on and was our go-to movie to watch. Yeah, because I know that I got a couple other things flagged. We'll come back to that in a second as we talk about actually more details of the movie. And RNTC said, the optimism of Star Trek. And Space Seed Spock says, eugenics wars of the 90s were our last world wars. If only that could be true. And it's interesting the show hitting on a topic like that. Really a thing in history.
We brought this up in Buck Rogers. When we each were asked what our definition of like sci-fi was, or good sci-fi. And my definition was that good sci-fi takes into consideration not just the science that's happening now, but the idea of where that will go 50, 100, 200 years from now. And that's sort of what this was playing off of. Where do we think gene science and manipulating DNA, if we can do that and that sort of thing, where will that go in the future? Of course, it didn't happen in 97, but a lot of things, in fact, from the original series, a lot of people like myself who grew up with the original series became scientists and created things like communication devices you can hold in your hands, like mobile phones and those kinds of things. So it's really very cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Snorpoopa says, I think the original concept of Savick being half Romulan was interesting. Sorry they dropped it. I guess Coach Robin Curtis played Savick less emotional than Kirstie Alley's rendition. Wow, I thought she was
and on
pretty
this-
unemotional. But go ahead.
Yeah.
On this part, so in chat, please correct me if I mess this up. In the theatrical release, she is a Vulcan, and she speaks Vulcanian with Spock, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, she does.
Mhm.
So from there, you're led to believe she's a Vulcan, but she sheds a tear, which is not a Vulcan thing at all. And they decided to leave it in the movie. But in the director's edition, I believe they mention that she's half Romulan. And someone
Right.
mentioned in the chat that in the novelization that she's half Romulan. So if that's true, why is she speaking Vulcanian to Spock? So on one hand, why is she crying? Or why is she speaking a language that she wouldn't likely know?
Well, unless like
Take your
Spock,
pick.
because he's
One of them
half
doesn't line up.
human,
Yes.
and he speaks both.
Yeah,
So,
'cause, yeah,
but,
it's
but
possible you
there's
could
there's
speak
an
both, though.
inconsistency. Which way do you
True.
want to have it? You know,
Mhm.
so, and that's one of the things about having a director's edition versus the theatrical edition on some
Yeah.
of these things. There's not much added,
Yes.
but it does change a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, and I went for forever thinking that she was just Vulcan and not both. And then later when I heard, oh no, she's both, I was thinking, well, where are you getting that from?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. See, I would think that she could probably speak both languages. I mean, you know, if she's half of each, then she would seem not unreasonable. But Terry Rose said that Montalban had to relearn how to be Spacey Khan for the movie role. I would imagine
Yes.
because it's about
Well-
20 years, about 20.
Well, I'm sorry,
15
I
years.
interrupted you.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
think it
about
was
15 years later. Go ahead.
He said in an interview that I saw that he was, of course, playing Fantasy Island role, Mr. Rourke.
Right.
And he said when he went through the first readings of doing Khan again, he said all I could hear was I sounded like Mr. Rourke, and that's all wrong. So he
Yeah.
had to rewatch Spacey like several times until he could get back into the manner, because those are two, if you've seen
Yeah.
Fantasy Island, those are two very different characters, even though Mr. Rourke, as time went on, got a little bit, his disposition changed a little,
Yeah.
but he's definitely not Khan. So
Mhm.
I thought it was very interesting. He was really excited to do the role. He thought it was very cool, but he couldn't remember.
Right. And he, at that point, he was playing Mr. Rourke on a weekly show.
Correct.
It's like he
I
got
that's
so into
correct.
that. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, by the way, people talk about Betamax. Tina said at first that they had West Kegel. Yes, that's why my dad was able to repair them because they were worth repairing. Then he
Yep.
told me later on, don't keep the family business going because he's like they V8. He could see it that the VCRs were coming dirt cheap and all. It became disposable instead of fixing it. But yeah, they were expensive.
Yes,
And
they
Peter
were.
Venkman fan site also said Dad gave us a beta player, but it was the mid 90s before Mom got a VHS player through a rent to own place. Yeah. That's the beta versus VHS debate.
That
was
was
one-
a huge debate.
That's a stream
That's-
of itself, so you know.
Yeah, that's like 8-track and regular cassette.
Hey, I'd watch this. Snort Poopus is going to make a Star Trek reboot with all the characters played by polar bears. Hey, and
Sounds good.
hello, Citrus Lemon Pie. How are you tonight? Good to see you. So, I want wings and hair like Fabio. Yes, Putin's cat. That would be cool. See. Oh, nice question. Snortopoopus can get everybody hooked up. I think he tries to play play innocent out there. So, all right. So, oh, Bucky's crafting. She's crying because she doesn't understand what she is either. Maybe she is confused. We do not know. But yeah, all right. So let's get down here. Buddy Hepburn's here. Hey, welcome, buddies. 50-50 Vulcan Romulan. So let's see. Oh, back to lurk. Yeah, comment and lurk. That's okay. Wade. Hey, Wade. Good to see you. Good to see you tonight. Hey. And yeah, Bucky in the socks. Yeah. Socks can be saved. Yes, hopefully so. Feel free, folks. We're about to hit a part where you really can probably join us and talk about scenes from this movie that you really, really like. Because next, I'm going to turn it to JT to present some information he shared with us. So get ready, folks. You're about to find out. Go ahead, JT.
Sure. So I would just like to preface this by saying that the numbers here are estimates. So, I took these numbers from a couple different websites and compared them. They set estimates there. When you move money, the further back you go into modern dollars with inflation, the further you go out, the less correlation you can really have. So don't take these to the bank, doing some Spock math in your head. They're close, but I'll be off a few cents, plus or minus. So part of the reason why The Wrath of Khan was greenlit was because it was meant to be on a budget, and it was originally in earlier dealings thought to be best to do as a 2-hour TV movie. And then later they went for a theatrical release, and the budget got larger by a significant amount. So the whole Netflix or theater thing, it was happening back then, just direct to TV. So part of the reason why they weren't so sure about making this a movie originally was the success or lack thereof in the eye of Paramount of TMP. So you can see here in the first area, the budget for TMP, and this is in rough 2024 dollars, was, you could say, back then it was 35 million, but today you could think of it as $158 million. So that is not cheap, even for today's movies, even Marvel movies, that type of thing. Unless you're making an 8-episode abomination of a Star Wars show for Disney, you very well may spend less than that. Compare that to the budget that you see for The Wrath of Khan. You're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $36 million, which for a modern movie is cheap. Dare I say, Paramount couldn't even put out a movie that cheap these days. So right away, you're saying, okay, well, this has to be viewed as more successful. Go to opening weekend, they make nearly the same amount of money. Just a few years apart between 79 and 82. They're making almost the same amount. TMP did just over 50. The Wrath of Khan did just under. Then you look at the worldwide gross, and you could be thinking, okay, well, TMP made a lot more money, and it did. It did overall. It made almost 400 million, while The Wrath of Khan pulled in about 260. So 260 million, that's not a fantastic gross in today's age, but you didn't spend the same on advertising and some of the other things that studios pay for today. So but on a budget of 36 million, if you go to the final chart or the final bars here, your rate of return on that is much, much, much higher, because even though the motion picture made more money overall, in absolute terms, they actually came out less, and in relative terms to the budget, far, far, far less. The reason they almost
profit.
Yes. So the reason, if you compared the first to the final, you can see why they almost didn't continue with movies after the motion picture, because even though that's maybe double your money affair on TMP, that wasn't enough for the studio to risk making a second movie.
Daisy brings us a problem that, and I saw this earlier. Lots of reusing the sets on the Wrath of Khan. They really gutted the budget. Not only did they not bring Gene Roddenberry back for the second movie, they also, and that's another issue we can explore as we get into this. But they really did try to do this on the cheap, it seemed like.
Yes, and so a ton was reused.
Yes,
and like Pim's Cat said, the returns almost identical. But the point like JT's illustrating here, there was so much more invested in the motion picture that it should have had a much larger return, and it's actually less of a return. It should be well ahead of where Wrath of Khan was, but if you look at them comparatively, TMP way underperformed Wrath of Khan. Daisy, go ahead.
I was going to say they not only reused their own sets, so the bridge of the Enterprise was redressed to be the bridge of the Reliant, and also where they did the Kobayashi Maru test. They also took props that they had from TMP, the motion picture. If you're wondering what TMP stands for, they took props from that and repainted them and reused them. So the space station, the Regulus space station, was actually in the first movie, except what they did for the Wrath of Khan is they turned it upside down and put it at a slightly different angle and repainted it.
Mm-hmm.
Did they
so it's actually the same prop.
Did they hire Glenn A. Larson? We remember from Buck Rogers.
Darn near close, Dad man. The bridge from TMP on the Klingon cruisers was reworked, repainted, and used as part of the backdrop for the torpedo room.
Yeah,
when they had Spock going down that whole the loading ramp and all that. Yeah, part of that in the back where Scotty's standing with the bagpipes and all that, that's from TMP. They were such budget restrained that, and I don't know, some of my research for this, I don't know how much I believe the story, but I don't have much else to go on. When they were designing the uniforms, they didn't want to use the leisure suits from the first one. So starting over with all new uniforms as the costumes, they had these black pants, but they wanted to add pockets for the actors, so they had something to do with their hands, and they couldn't afford to go back and remake the pants, put in pockets. I don't know how much I believe that or if that's an allegory. However, they definitely took some shortcuts. One last thing on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying hello quickly to JPRPH1. So when JT's done with this, we're going to talk about what we think about Wrath of Khan. So get ready, folks. If you want to know what I think, it's coming.
Sure. I'm done with the slide, Dad man. I just wanted to say one more instance of budget shaving. There's the scene where they talk about Genesis, and it's all done in a computer, where you see the animation of what the transformation of a planet would look like in phase 3. That is, and I've seen this in multiple places, but please don't kill me, Chad, if it's not true. But this was the first use of an entirely computer generated graphic scene in a movie. And they saw that as a savings over practical effects to animate all of that in the computer. And that
I've
was
read
done
that
by
too.
ILM.
I did too.
So,
ILM did it. Yeah.
And hello, DJ Ronnie G. Welcome. So,
and now in a movie, the CGI budget's like 2/3 of the production costs. They used it to try to save money back
They were
then.
trying to save money by using CGI.
RNTZ said, had motion picture not been such a snooze fest, imagine how much better Wrath of Khan would have done, especially in relation to the budget. I mean, you look at what Wrath of Khan did in relation to the budget. It's just amazing that they could pull that off to that extent. I mean, when you just look at the graphical representation, maybe that they reuse stuff in the first, but as I've understood it, there was no guarantee there would be a second one after the first one had the response that it had, or lack of response, I guess we should say, though. So, and actually, let me say hello to the wonderful, lovely, and gracious Lady Miss tonight. Hello. Welcome. Great to see you tonight. So you're just in time. So how do y'all want to do this? Do y'all want to give y'all's ratings and thoughts about by the way, Tina said the chat breaks out to pitchfork torches go after you, JT. So you ready? So anyway,
we have a lot of people that love this movie. So
would y'all like to go first, or do y'all want to hear me first?
We should have you go last.
Okay, go ahead, Daisy. Then you can go first.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was going to say something about why Roddenberry
Well, go ahead, please touch on
Okay,
that.
so I'll try and make this really fast. Sorry, it's in my notes.
No, take your time with it. It's okay.
So, of course, Gene Roddenberry is, along with other people, the creator of the Star Trek universe. So he, of course, wrote the first movie. Now, the first movie had lots and lots and lots of problems, and reshoots and other things, but it did not do as well as was expected. So when they decided that they were going to do the second one, Roddenberry went ahead and pitched his treatment, his idea for the script for the second movie. And what I could find on it basically was the Klingons were going to use the Guardian of Forever as a portal to go back to the early 60s and change an event that occurred, and that would change all time moving forward. And the studio was not happy with his script, so they eventually found well, it went through several different people, but they eventually found the director and the writer to do it. And unfortunately, Roddenberry was basically what William Shatner referred to as kicked upstairs, meaning he was given this nice title to go away and stop bugging them so they could make the second movie. So I really love the second movie, but it is difficult on one's heart to think this is a person who created this whole thing and they're going, yeah, thank you very much. Now go away.
Well, I think you have to compare it to motion picture, because you already saw one person in the chat that mentioned what they thought about it being a snooze fest. But our friend Martin UNC loves motion pictures, so
now into that, Daisy, I've read some of the writers and all of that in interviews, either that Starlog or in books published later, and Meyer and the others. Well, what they say in the interviews is they tried to respect Gene, and they didn't always know as much as they wanted to about Star Trek, so they would go back and watch a ton of Star Trek, unlike directors and writers today who can't be bothered to do, their job on that type of thing. They wanted to treat the property correctly. They knew there was a big fan base, and they try to come from a place of humility is what they report. There's also a couple instances where they detail, we approached Gene in a bad way, and we felt really bad about that because they knew it was his baby, and they had to do what the studio wanted at the same time to get their paycheck. So I get the sense, reading some of those, that they were kind of in a delicate position at the end of the day.
Well, this is true.
Well, see,
and I have it in my notes.
The 4K directors. Sorry, Daisy, go ahead.
I was going to say, just to back up something that JT said, I also read that the director had never seen Star Trek. And so he went back and started watching Star Trek to get a feel of it and pick one of the original episodes that he thought he could work from. So when I read that, in light of a lot of what's going on today, where, as JT said, modern directors and writers can't be bothered. Yeah, okay, we're going to write for this thing that's been around for 30, 40, 50 years, but I can't be bothered to go back and look at what it started as and how it's going. And that to me spoke a lot. Yes, it would be very difficult to toe the line between this is the creator of the whole thing and this is what the studio wants. And I'm sure that some of the stories may have changed a little bit over time, maybe softened a little bit. But I really appreciate that they went back and watched the original series before they just went, yeah, we know what we're doing. How hard can it be?
Well, I've actually seen the comment about the comparison to Horatio Hornblower, so that's very interesting. Yeah, this movie did have that feel in it. So, And Snorpoopus is that sad things. Roddenberry's lawyer came close to making TNG unwatchable. So, there's a lot of people that were happy with him. And then I guess it changed. There's different opinions on this throughout.
Yeah.
But Mark is saying Harvin Bennett had no idea how to use Khan. So interesting.
He did have the idea to use Khan. They also watched submarine movies to try to get the feel of that, because the original Trek borrowed heavily from that aspect of things. The early writings, though, the early drafts of these scripts, they're
okay.
Well, that's a whole thing for later. We can go 20 minutes down that.
Yeah, road, I know. So. I tell you what, I'm really jumping now at revealing myself my thing now, because see, I'm seeing comments in here, things like that I really want to comment on, because now it's like you did get that vibe. There was and let's all right. So Daisy, what did you think with this movie? I already saw Terry Rose said A+ for this movie, so that's somebody that So what did y'all think out there? Any favorite scenes? Any if you had to grade it, what would you like? Because what is your overall evaluation of this? Daisy, go ahead.
So even having grown up watching the original TV show, and as you said, there were some changes made, a little bit more run it like a Navy. So a little more quote unquote militaristic than maybe the original utopian. Let's go out and find strange new worlds and strange new planets and civilizations and things. I loved this movie right from the first time I saw it. I thought they had done a very good job after it being so long and pulling everything together, especially after having watched the first one and being thoroughly disappointed with it. I thought, wow, you guys really came back and you hit it out of the park. And I would also give it an A+.
Oh, wow.
With extra credit.
Oh, wow. And that's coming from a teacher, folks. All right. Teachers don't like throwing out that extra credit, but hey, that's something
if it's
special.
Warranted, they went above and beyond.
Well, there you go. I wish I had you as a teacher, but hey. All right, JT Kirk.
How long do we have? Well
we got
I tried to be quick.
It depends how if you
stream want incoming.
It depends how long you want to wait to hear what I think finally.
Right. So overall, it doesn't matter what number I give it, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10. It's my favorite movie of all time, not just my favorite Star Trek movie. I think it's a masterpiece from start to the end. Is it as philosophical as any other movie? No. Does it have as much action as any other movie? No. But I think it's well balanced. It stays exactly where it needs to. I watch this thing at least once a month, if not more. So it's probably always going to stay that way at this point. I think I might be old enough. I don't think Hollywood's going to get enough time to make one to pass this up. But if one is to look at a Star Trek movie and say, how should I make another? You can either go TMP for some people, but I would say it's this movie, hands down. And proof, you don't need to spend $1 billion to make the perfect movie, and Hollywood needs to remember that. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, here we go, folks. It was so funny to look at all the taunting I got this week from all Mark D with the C was one of them out there. You've only watched it twice now, and it's like whatever. It's like I remember the first time I said I'd not watched it, the looks I got, and of course the one time I did watch it, JT showed his face on the stream. Like I said earlier, he was so perturbed at my reaction because what did I say? It's meh. The first time I watched it, So basically, I'm going to say, here, more do you want to see? No pressure. I might still like you if you give it a bad review. From Hell's Heart, I stab at thee for 8 seconds. Wow, you jumped the gun a little. Maybe no. All right. Yeah, that's what I can't. The Voyager Lizard Kids. Yeah, that's something like that. That's who knows. So, Maniac says we're here to know you, Gators fan, crush for Darth Maul. What really matters is what I think about this all-time classic piece of art. Sort Poopa said continuity errors, but overall loved it. Let's see. Oh, Lady Miss liked the movie Wrath of Khan. All right, so
I'm just saying, Dad Man. You know that scene where the Enterprise crew beams onto Regular One, and they find Chekhov shoved into the cubby.
Locker.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Chekhov thought about giving the movie a bad score at one point.
And that's why they did with him.
I just,
thank you.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just weird things like that have been.
They just magically happen,
Yeah,
I gotcha. Well, meh was what I said the first time when we watched it. So all I can think of is I must have been drunk. Well, was it the last time or this time?
When did you first see it? The first time? Was it in the theaters or was it?
It was at home a couple years ago with the missus.
Okay.
It was here. It was right there. We had watched the motion picture, which I think, God, you guys are crazy. But we had watched the motion picture, and I'm sorry, there's no saving motion picture. I can see why they did what they did, because for the money they spent on motion picture, to get back as the damn Voyager, I just could not. You know me, I'm bang bang pew pew Star Wars, right? I will say though, I learned a lesson, because I was like, that's why I was saying I was either drunk. I think I slept through part of Wrath of Khan the first time, but I think I did not watch it in the proper venue, well rested and stuff like that. Because JT always looked at me like, what the hell have you been watching? When I said there was not enough action or bang bang pew pew, this one had a lot of bang bang pew pew in it. This one truly did. And
you know what, Dad Man? I didn't want to tell you this.
Yeah.
In Space Seed, Kirk fights hand-to-hand combat with Khan. They never meet in this movie face to face. Not one time. In fact, William Shatner and Ricardo Montalban did not meet on the set during the filming of the movie either.
Wow.
Is what the reports say. So that just gives you kind of how cool the tension is between these two, when they didn't even like act in front of one another. But hey, anyway.
That's cool. Well, I will tell you though, honestly, having watched it again, I hate to disappoint some people, but it was a very solid, really good movie. I really do not know what I must have been drunk or asleep the first time I watched it. It was not at all what I expected. I picked up a lot more, not as many of the details as y'all knew from Space Seed and some of the other things, but I did understand the reaction to what Chekhov when he heard Botany Bay. I had more of the connection of where this came from before with Khan and all. So honestly, I agree with you. I think this is a very awesome movie. I still have a lot of partiality to Star Trek 6, but I'd like to watch it again and compare it to this one. But this by far is one of the I exclude Star Trek 6, include all the TNG movies and all the other movies. With this, I like this better than any of the other movies. Definitely better than the Jar Jar movies. So really, I will say I really like this movie. I'm glad that you heckled me into watching this again, JT.
Well,
and I really was. I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I don't remember what I watched the first time because I did not get it. And like I said, the environment must have been better where I was focused, more attention, not tired, because it had that bang, bang, pew, pew. It did. Now, I will say it's not like Star Wars. It's not that wild, loud, boom, boom. But you know what? It had the action. And we talked about, there's a lot of people in the chat talked about the submarine movies and that stuff. And I think you did too. That I got with the sneaky around in the nebula, sneaking in behind and stuff like that. That was really cool. I really got into this movie. Understanding Khan's hatred for him a little bit more made a difference. And you know, this movie, I agree with you, is one of the best that it's definitely the best Star Trek movie, except for maybe 6 for me. And I know that's debate to a lot of people because that had, but see, my thing with Star Wars with 6 was the Cold War politics relation in it.
Yeah, the
but
undiscovered country.
yeah, and then that's kind of where I like that. But no sort of poopus, no sort of poopus. She's not. She's not. No, she said this is SETI Alpha 5. Yeah, but no, no.
Daisy, I don't know. Right at that reveal moment, how you reacted, my heart skipped a beat. Literally, it skipped a beat.
Yeah, you guys don't see the private chat where JT asked me how long can we drag this out to kill the audience in anticipation.
Right.
Yeah. So folks,
we could have been mean to y'all and held it like for 10-15 minutes if we really wanted. That way.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do this.
Anyway.
We'll do this. We got a few more slides to talk. Go ahead and start talking about some of the movies. I'm going to put a poll out for everybody to rank it here for y'all. But go ahead. Y'all go ahead and type thoughts and make some observations, and I'll add comments in.
We could have held that out so long that hours would have felt like days.
Yeah.
By the book, if we are going by the book.
Anyway. Sorry, Dad, man. It was.
Are you emotional on me?
We were quoting the movie. Oh man.
Yes, we're quoting the movie.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know JT was crying there or something or getting emotional because I actually like this movie. But hey.
Oh, I was. Go ahead.
What my husband and I must have seen this movie a gazillion times because it had been a while. So when we rewatched it together, we were quoting the lines before they were said. Even though it has been a number of years since we last rewatched it. So obviously we've seen it enough so that we can quote the lines during the movie.
That's a good movie then. So folks, what grade would you give it, TWOC? A, B, C, or D/F? So, all right.
The other thing I really liked, and I'll point out when you were talking about the submarines, I kind of, I always liked when Spock says in the nebula, and he says to Kirk that Khan is a very intelligent man, but he has two-dimensional thinking. He thinks like in naval terms as a ship sitting on the surface and how war is in two-dimensional plane. Whereas a spaceship is in space and it can go in any direction. Are you listening, Star Wars? Ships do not have to meet each other facing one another on the same plane. Guess what? It's space. So I always really like that when they're in the nebula, they come at each other in all kinds of weird angles.
Yeah.
And then the Enterprise just goes down.
Yeah.
And
very
lets
dramatic.
the Reliant go over the top of it and then comes back up behind it in hopes that they'll be able to see to fire.
Right. And Buddy's telling everybody you can unratio the thumbs down button now. So
I gave it a thumbs up.
Star Poopers gives a TWOC a 10 and a Starfleet a 1 on reading star charts. Yes, we'll see, Mark. We're safe. I should be safe. So Judson Scott's best line before dying. Yours is the superior.
Yes, the superior.
Yeah.
And Brock was saying this does feel like days.
So, guys, any other favorite scenes? Any other things about the movie specifically before we go? I know JT's got a few other slides that we want to talk about.
Oh, yeah. If I could go through a few of my notes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Movie Dead Man, if I may. So, there was some talk about this being a 2-hour movie versus a feature-length film. And there was some talk about that. And then one of the decisions was, well, we want to put this out as a full-length movie overseas. Why don't we just make it a feature-length film, kind of like what Buck Rogers did just a few years previous, and see how it goes. So I thought that was kind of cool because we have gone in depth about Buck Rogers and that opening first couple eps being one giant one. I think all three of us on this panel reviewed that and loved that. So, hey, hat tip and a nod. Thank you, Larson, for that. maybe?
Mhm.
Question mark. Anyway, so the original scripts were
I'm
all
still
over the
stuck
place.
at all the repeat, all the repetitive stuff and the Bard stuff. That's all that keep
Mm-hmm.
popping in my head. Glenn A. Larson. Hey, your
Right.
friend said he'd watch it again, Mr.
Oh
Liver.
yeah, he's being modest. He's being modest anyway.
Hey, take every victory you can get.
Yeah, we'll take it. The original scripts had a version of the Genesis device called the Omega device, and it was basically a super nuke.
Mhm.
And like 5 of these would basically Death Star a planet. So at some point, I think it was Meyer that came in and said, no, we shouldn't do this. We should make it more an idea of Trek. Let's make it about creation, not destruction. And then that's when you get kind of the synthesis of the two ideas, right? And so I love the line, creation took 7 days. Now we can do it in 6 minutes. And
And he puts he
in
holds his
Bones-
fingers up.
Yeah, I was going to say the 6
6
minutes. It's just
Yes.
great acting there.
And
I love it.
Newton's cat says, "Think John Dykstra." So let me catch this real quick because there's a comment about the movie. Master said, "Thoughts on this fantastic movie, Galactic Review? Good to have a new Trekkie on board. By the way, the club membership costs 10 straight to Latinum monthly to JT Kirk."
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah.
Platinum. All right.
Anyway, so let's see. There was a lot in here that I did already.
Oh, Brogan remembers going to see Buck Rogers in the theater as a kid. Hey,
nice.
Go back and check out my channel where we talked about all the Buck Rogers, the movie, the first 2 pilot episode, how they changed it for TV and everything. So, space, it's big, really, really big. It's the last place for us to go. Really, that's it. Anyway, these are the voyages of Starship Enterprise. It's 3-hour tour. Never mind. And Lady Miss says hello to you, Daisy. So, all right.
Hello.
Yes.
So, one of the things that I wanted to say was in the director's edition, you get more of the backstory of one of the trainees that was saying kind of some brash things to Admiral Kirk. And that was actually Scotty's nephew. I think he said it was his sister's youngest.
Yeah.
And he ends up perishing during the initial attack.
Right.
He stayed at a station when the trainees fled.
Yeah.
In the director's cut, you get more behind that story and it fills it out better.
Right.
Which is the one thing I can say, if you're going to take anything away from the director's cut, that's the thing I would say that added it.
Because see, I watched the regular theatrical on the regular DVD, so I didn't have the director's cut. So yeah, I mean, that'd be one thing too, is to figure out is what was added. Because I know it depends on each franchise how much is added. But Mark, I got to read one of Mark's. Spock, really, Dr. McCoy, you must learn to govern your passions. They will be your undoing. Logic suggests McCoy. Logic, my God, the man's talking about logic. We're talking about universal Armageddon. You green-blooded inhuman. I love Mark. I love Mark with all his quotes from everything. He's got them on a Rolodex or something, or something somewhere.
He does. He has them in his head, probably memorized down to the exact phrasing.
Although this is the one that gets me. Mommy says, Sci-Fi Mommy says, this is my favorite movie of all time, to be followed by Spaceballs.
There you go.
What a combination.
There you go. And that's great. All those Spaceballs. I don't know. It's in my it's up there for me.
Yeah.
But hey, cool. Let's see. Back to the notes. The sets and cutting corners. And we already covered a lot of that, but the bridge was thought to have saved money by making it a dome and then having a sliding wall that they could close whenever they wanted to film a different angle, as opposed to having like sections of the bridge and then moving back and forth whenever they wanted to change the camera angle. And it ended up not saving them any time, they said. It was just as cumbersome and a pain in the butt. But the picture of it, man, the actors and actresses could have very easily gotten claustrophobic in there.
I'm going to take a little personal privilege right here, is maybe one day we'll get into Battlestar Galactica. I love the old series because it's Saga of a Star World, and I just love that old series. It's a lot, and we referenced it a lot when we talked about Buck Rogers 2 and things like that. So yeah, I mean, this was great about the 70s. Really, this emergence of the sci-fi or sci-fantasy. I mean, I know Star Trek, Star Wars are different things. I know that there's difference, but you had Battlestar Galactica. It just seemed like it finally, for the first time in the 70s, gained a real foothold where actually it was acceptable to watch it. Those type of things, because, for so long, it was all looked down, I think, older before that. But now it really hit the mainstream, it seemed like, in that part. And to have so many different things at the same time. Then you have Alien in 79.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And some really great work around animatronics and things. And just, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Jaws was
hello,
right around
Joseph
that time,
Vaughn.
too.
Hey, Joseph Vaughn. That's a new name I haven't seen around here. But hey, Wrath of Khan's favorite Trek movie. Awesome. That is a very popular opinion tonight. So, and also, folks, as a reminder, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. We've already up over 30 likes tonight. Love this topic. Love this. And JT, I know you're happy now that I changed from meh to I like this movie.
Yes.
Really,
yes, very much so.
Oh, Mark says no. I remember Mark has watched it from watching it so much. He has the script on his PC. But oh god, it was sort of poop. Was Kurt Scotty? Your nephew is a real smartass. I've ordered security to space him. What gets me the most of watching it again was that I don't understand how I missed so much the first time. Old man cometh. Hey, it's old man cometh. Hello, it's me, the old man. Hey, old man, good to see you tonight.
That's a long time ago to remember a movie if you've only seen it once. It really is.
Well, no, I know what it gets me is that how I was so into meh, like it didn't hit, because it's like watching it again was like I watched something completely different. And and I must have been tired or something happened the first time I watched it, because this was a good movie. I mean, from the very beginning, the training drill on it got my attention. It hooked me from the very beginning. And I do think that one of the aspects that really got me was, it was referenced in the chat and others, the militaristic aspect. You know me, and I like war movies. I like the battle stuff. I like, that's why I think more for Star Wars. But this movie kind of gave me something I wanted. Not the level and the amount of bang, bang, pew, pew, but it was done effectively, strategically, and well enough to make it seem like an action movie, like a battle, not, I'm sorry, like motion picture was like just talk. And I understand that's the difference between, where it's trying to go. One is truly sci-fi. The other is something a little bit different. But what just gets me is how different my reaction to this movie is watching it a second time. And that's like Daisy said early on, starting off, folks, when I watched Temple of Doom before, panned it and all, and then we came together, we were a lot more polite to it when we watched it as we got older and stuff.
You were a lot more polite. I still do not like that movie.
No, I know. I didn't say it's my favorite, but it hit me a lot better than the other did. So
I'm teasing.
I know. So see, and that could be Brogu. That could be, like I said, I think I could have been tired. I could have been coming off of watching motion picture, and it was just so underwhelmed that, yeah. And that's why you always go back and watch something a second time. I mean, always give it a second shot. Well, except for Last Jedi. And again, that's a place I just can't go. No, that just was no. But if unless it's that bad or something like that, give yourself a second chance. You never know. You might like it, or you might be feeling better, or have had a bad day. So I agree with that, really. So Phantom Outsider says, seeing in theaters, it was on TV a while later as the show premiere. Dad was, didn't you see this at the movies? I said, yeah. Did you know it would be on TV? I said, no. He was like, okay then. And hello to Simply Steve. Hey, Star Trek 5 would be best seen on MST3K. I've not seen 5. I've seen 6. So,
Yeah, I've seen them all.
and Mark's still inconceivable. Well, I might watch it again though. That's what I'm saying. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Wanted to see.
While you're doing that, I wanted
Yeah.
to bring up one other
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead. Yeah, please.
ILM used a liquid tank for the Mutara Nebula and used, different viscosities of liquid and things like that to generate the footage. And someone would stand with a camera pointed right at the tank, and they would roll film whenever it started doing interesting things. So that way they could capture the cloud-like soupy mix of that nebula. And it was just so cool.
It
So
was
cool
very
when they
cool.
did that. Another thing that ILM did, and the keen eye on 4K can see this way easier than on the VHS versions, but in the Genesis cave, there was original thought they would go into one of the other stages and use a 60-foot waterfall for the Genesis cave and build a whole set around that. They actually decided to just go with a matte painting and create a set that was 50 by 50 and just make that the cave and blend it in. And it worked really, really well. I'm impressed. It's only when you get to the Blu-ray on up that you really notice, hey, that kind of looks like a set back there, right? So
Yeah.
Kudos to them back then for making all of that look great. In addition, Ceti Alpha 5 is not done on site. That was a sound stage. They started by constructing some things with wood, then using clay to kind of form it all out, and then dump a bunch of sand and use high-powered fans to create the sandstorm. So very in-depth, very creative, and they had a tight budget to do it too. I was impressed.
Now I wish that I would have been able to go see the screening with Shatner hosting it. I mean, actually having watched this movie again, that would have really, really been cool. And then, old man Joe Savon said, "I like the fact they had the full, they killed Spock in this." So, yeah,
that was very controversial.
Yeah,
Daisy, I wanted to get your take on this back from the time because I read different things and I got different stories from different people. There was something that came out in Starlog, and then a couple other places where they found memos where there was talk about Leonard Nimoy saying he didn't want to come back for the movie and he didn't want to be Spock anymore. So they said, okay, we'll write you out in the most dignified way. Then another source says, well, actually, no, I never said that. It was never done that way. So the official story is I always wanted to do this and we knew what was coming the whole time. Sounds a little revisionist to me, but it could also be rumor. So I didn't know what you may have heard, Daisy, back at the time or what your thoughts were on that whole thing. But I wanted to get your perspective because I know as a diehard Trek fan back then, this would have really hit you hard seeing that scene, right?
Well, it did. I only heard, okay, so the world was very different in 1982. Now, my father had a computer, but it wasn't anything like what you're thinking of now. It was a monochromatic screen. I didn't go into any of the message boards. Most of those were for the college students and things. So I did not know that they were going to kill Spock. I did, however, know that Leonard Nimoy had written a book in the mid 70s that said, I'm not Spock, or I am not Spock. And that he didn't like being typecast. He wasn't happy. I mean, he's an actor. I can understand that. But that was devastating to people because he was one of, if not the most favorite character, beloved. And to hear the actor come out and say, well, I don't like playing him, that rubbed people the wrong way. But it was the 70s. So when I went into the theater, I had not seen any of the leaks. Apparently, there were some leaks in various places of an earlier draft where Spock was to be killed earlier in the movie, and that did not go over well. So they changed some things around and made it
Mm.
at the end, of course. And sitting in the theater with my dad, and that whole scene, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
cried quietly, but I cried.
Yeah.
And the whole, as not just the repeating of the sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, and then they repeat it at the end, but right at the end when Spock has obviously died and Kirk just goes no, and it's not screaming, he's not falling apart, he's not wailing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You could just see in Shatner's face, just, I've lost my dearest friend. And that forlorn look and the sound of his voice, it was just, okay, I'm done. I'm crying. I don't know what happened after that. Yeah, there's a funeral. That's nice. And then he goes on to say the line about of all of the souls that he's ever met, that his was the most, and then he stops for a moment and says human. And I'm like, okay, thank you, I just stopped crying. Okay, it's a good thing I didn't wear mascara. It's all good.
Yeah.
So
I'm
but
looking at
I
the
didn't-
chat. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I didn't know that that's what was going to happen. So yeah, it really, really hit hard.
Mhm.
And then I don't know whether they decided that maybe it would be too much for those of us that were fans all the way back to the 60s, and then they threw a bone to us. Hey, look, it's the new planet. Look, it's the photon torpedo tube thing, holding out the possibility and that sort of thing. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, all I will say with Spock voiced Megatron in this when he turned purple in the '86 movie, love it. But seeing all this stuff, that's news to me, and I'll let JT talk to about all the rumors and the stuff coming back and all that, because well, the main connection I'm going to go in here with is the whole thing about Harrison Ford with Han Solo, and that whole thing about he was supposed to die at the end of Return of the Jedi, then comes back for this wonderful reboot of the original Star Wars movie, which was a waste of time in the end, because the actor didn't respect the character in that case, and he got really a punk death. I mean, right. The way Han Solo died in Star Wars sucked. It was stupid. You didn't have like Chewbacca's death in the expanded universe where a friggin' moon fell on him. You didn't have some noble, sacrificial, or something important. He just said, "I love you, Dad. You're dead." It was just punk. It was a stupid. It was stupid. This death scene is the way a hero, a mainline character like that, if you're ever going to get rid of them or write them out or whatever, is the way it should be done, because it was emotional. Like to your point, I've always questioned Kirk's real acting ability, because I love him in Dodgeball because he's a goof and things like that. But watching him with Spock's death really convinced me of his acting ability. The emotion, the seriousness, all that stuff that you mentioned, that's all that stuff you could see in his face. You could see the anguish. You could see it really up close. And I was noting as I was watching that scene, and it really stood out to me. And I think that was a good way to end. Now that way they could either end with him dying like they wanted, or apparently they brought him back. That's the next thing I'm probably gonna have to see how they did and get an explanation on that to see if I buy it. But still, doesn't matter. It really was Sorry, RNTZ. It was a point of personal host privilege on that one. Bad man. Hey, don't. At least
Bad
Masters
man
hasn't got.
walking.
Yeah, at least Masters hasn't got me started on Darth Maul tonight. So yeah, they fired a torpedo in just the right direction for another movie. So
yes, they did. So I was
Mark
saying
said they planted the space seeds for 3 at the end of 2, changed the ending to have Spock read the opening track lines. Huh, interesting.
And I was saying there's these two sides of the story. Buddy Hepburn brought up something you put up there, and other people put in the chat too that he wrote. That he's not Spock or whatever the real title of the book is in 75, which predates this movie by quite a few years. And then Mark D with the C and some others put out there, he got locked in for directing in the 3rd and 4th movie. So there was definitely some things there that pointed to he was in it for money to get the most he could out of that. Which I'm not saying it makes him a bad person at all, right? But he really tried to leverage it, but then to go back and try to retcon and say, no, I loved being him the whole time. I think he had a change of heart at one point, and I've read some stuff written by his daughter, who saw it from a different angle than all of us might, but she had a lot of nice things to say about her father. Of course she would too, that bias. But from the way we can piece together history, I believe he had a change of heart that's pretty easy to show with preponderance of the evidence. And the whole retcon attempt doesn't play well in the age of the internet.
Right.
Because we can go back and find those old episodes or those old editions of Starlog or some of these other things.
Right.
So
Well,
but
DJ
the death
Ronnie
was cool
G,
on the screen either way. Go ahead.
DJ and Ronnie G gave this one an A. How about the rest of you guys out there? We'll see. Feel free to share any favorite scenes or favorite or your grades or whatever out there. Store to Poop, of course, did Battlestar Galactica start to suck when Han Solo died, when the bridge collapsed under him and Buck Rogers' generations? Nice way to throw a whole bunch of things. So I have not even watched Alkalite, and I will not.
Oh, I'm going to throw you one more.
Yeah, go ahead, Daisy.
On the Star Wars thing.
So
when they were trying to figure out what to name this movie, it was not originally going to be The Wrath of Khan.
Yes. I'm so glad
they
you're
were
bringing this up.
going to call it The Revenge of Khan. However, at the time, there was this other, little upstart sci-fi kind of opera thing known as Star Wars.
The real one? I'm sorry.
And they were going to name their movie Revenge of the Jedi. So, of course, Star Trek went, oh, no.
Right.
No. So they went through a whole bunch of different, what do we do? So they finally settled on The Wrath of Khan, which I think works better because wrath is sort of an older feeling word. And they were pulling from Moby Dick and from Horatio Hornblower and some other things that were older books. So it felt like it made sense. Well, then Star Wars went ahead and apparently George Lucas said the Jedi wouldn't seek revenge. So they, of course, changed the name of their movie. So both of them got changed. I thought that was funny.
Absolutely. So now did you mention that? Because Star Wars went with the Revenge, and then they changed it to the Return because Jedi would not be angry like that. And it was like, dang it, you took the word and changed and stuff. See, this Phantom Outsiders said basically Nimoy realized how much the character meant to the fans, changed his mind. Attitude. That's what I wish would have happened in Star Wars. But that's another debate for another day. I've said a lot about that. But when the actor realizes what the character means to the fans, not just the fans, even in the lore, your universe and everything that's established, these characters are not just some stupid, shallow things. If you take the time and research them, these are very complicated, complex, and developed characters. I mean,
Harrison Ford, anyone?
I know, exactly. Snorta Poopas gives it an A. So, and we're making Tina cry about Spock's death scene. So,
Yeah.
So,
Um,
Grogu gives it 8
lots of
pluses.
pluses. It
Never
is
give up, never
difficult.
surrender.
Definitely. Excellent movie. It is difficult because we're fans of these things. And so we get all up into the minutia, especially Star
Mhm.
Trek fans.
Yeah.
And we want to know all the backstories and we want all the side stories and we want all this, that, and everything else. And yes, we are very aware that those are characters being played by actors. But to us, those are characters that we really care about. We've connected with. The writer has done what they're supposed to do. We've connected with this person. However, the actor, to them, this is their job. This is their day job. They're going to, like Ricardo Montalban did, he played this con person in the 60s and did it for one episode and moved on with his life in acting and then had to go back and relearn how to play the character. But to us that was, oh wow, we're going to see him again, and we didn't feel that distance. So I can understand why certain actors are afraid. Oh, I'm typecast. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be, why doesn't, people think of me as something other than a sci-fi actor? Whereas we're looking at the characters. Now I still think it helps to step back and try to see it from your fans' perspective. They are your fans. They're the ones who pay for all the movie tickets and the memorabilia, and that sort of thing. But I can see where sometimes it would get a little overwhelming.
Well, see, the thing is with that gets me is the same as Ford didn't have the same problem or concerns about being Indiana Jones, did he?
No, he didn't.
No, so
He
it's
didn't
very
like the character.
Yeah, it's very selective because I tell you what, if you even to quote a Sean Connery, and if you read a book instead of burning it, if he read the books, you'd understand how complex Han Solo was. Actually, he was not a shallow, just a weak character. But that's another discussion for another day. I can go into. I'll get on that rabbit trail. Many pluses from RNTZ. Favorite scenes, the whole thing really. The Mutara Nebula battle always gets me. I tell you, I loved the way they did the action, the drama, the silence. It did have that old submarine movie feel. That was really one of the best scenes. Right. I really enjoyed that. And the Genesis countdown, the score, and then of course Spock's death. I tear up every time. Exactly. I like the way Vulcan put McCoy to sleep there so he could go in there. Phantom Outsider said it can go A+ to the 23rd power. So, and welcome Princess Fiona. Good to see you tonight.
Fiona.
I'm not sure which one snorted Poopa said. Oh, yeah, I got that. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I can agree with that. But good to see you tonight, Princess Fiona. Glad to have you with us. Tina says A+. So, yeah, the quiet scenes like Kirk and Spock having a heart in Spock's quarters. You have one at the beginning. Well,
right. So that's the one at the beginning, and then it's mirrored when he dies, which
well,
is
you also have one
even
with
more.
But at the beginning, you also have Bones and McCoy celebrating the birthday.
Yes.
There was a nice heart too.
Yes. And I always loved the line, I'm sorry, my brain's going. You have been and always shall be my friend. And to have a Vulcan say that to you, knowing their control over their emotions, but that was his way of saying all of his emotions in one line without being emotional when he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved that line.
Absolutely. All right, let's see where else we got. Phantom Outsider has a great question. Was Montalban more comfortable being remembered for Fantasy Island or Corinthian leather? I love that. That's awesome.
I don't know, but he had a really good. That man was in good shape.
Yes, he was.
Some people claim that was a prosthetic.
Yeah.
I have read in multiple places that was really his body. Those were his actual pectoral muscles.
Right.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's for the ladies, like, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a nemesis of mine, so I'm not really looking at him in that way. But there you
No,
go.
I know. Exactly.
Sorry, Captain.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking, as the science officer, as you know, from a perspective of the male physique, only as you know, the science officer. I'll have to get back to you on that.
So Fiona
You need to
says
conduct more
that
research.
about Shatner
Correct.
changing, and Fiona said talking about how Shatner changed over time. You know, and exactly. You know, it's really interesting. Now he really plays up to him. And Sort of Poop said you can read that either way because I'm a grumpy, ungrateful bastard who doesn't realize how lucky he's been to live life on easy mode, dude. you keep everybody happy, dude, being yourself out there in the chat. So
Well, they used to they didn't want to go to the cons.
And hello,
to the
Chief Judge
sci-fi
Finity.
cons.
Welcome. Sorry. Go ahead, Daisy. Sorry.
No, welcome. Because again, they wanted to kind of distance themselves, and why would I go into this ravenous horde of fans when all I want to do is roll my eyes about this stupid part I played in some 60s TV show, yada yada. But Shatner's quite warmed up to that sort of thing, considering that man is not a young man.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they're coming around. Maybe Harrison Ford will.
No,
probably not. But you know,
plus also we ended up with Jake Skywalker with his boob milk off in the weird plant. It's
come on,
gone.
No, please,
we're having fun here tonight.
No. She was having hope for Ford. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Even if he came back, it's all gone.
True.
So, hey.
No. I didn't mean come back to the movies.
Oh, okay.
I meant maybe his outlook would soften a little bit. You know. Maybe not. I mean, they're all humans too. Actors, as odd as they are human beings, and there are roles they like and ones they don't. And that's unfortunately.
Well, talking about being human. I love Buddy's point here about the bagpipes.
Oh, yes.
We had Scotty playing bagpipes at the end, Amazing Grace.
Oh yes.
What a way to end. And then they moved it from the bagpipes into the orchestral part with the song, as we see the torpedo with Spock's body being launched out tonight. So
I happen to love bagpipes, and Amazing Grace on bagpipes is just amazing, for lack of any other words that come to mind right now. So
Brogu, let's not get the weeds of Ricardo Montalban and how good looking he was. It was on another stream, and that's all the women could talk about.
Yeah.
Oh,
I promise I won't do that to you. Promise I won't.
Well, I'm very happily married. My husband's quite good looking as well. So
there you go.
So there you go.
Yeah. What's a Kazinti?
Fiona is asking if your avatar is the Kazinti.
Well, actually, what it is it's a Canadian snow lynx done as a science officer for Star Trek. So it's not a specific character from any sci-fi property. My avatar, I've seen you in other chats, Fiona, and normally I have the little black cat. That's my cat, but my character on stream is Snow Lynx.
Yeah. All right. So
to that. Dadman, I don't think we could do this show without
leave it to Bucky. Yeah, look at Bucky come in there right here throwing a Gwyneth Paltrow. I guess the Marvel fans and Pepper Potts, but that's a different topic again. So go ahead, JT. Sorry.
I was going to say we cannot have a Wrath of Khan show without talking about the ear aliens, the ear eels, whatever you'd like to call them. So I read up on the production about these to look and see how they did it. And the creation of these was a mixture of foam and Bondo and paint, obviously, and some other things around that. But I think everybody, well, if you haven't seen it in the chat or we mentioned it earlier, they went to ILM and had a casting of Chekhov's ear made several times larger than his actual ear, and then made a larger version of one of those eels go into the ear itself. But they also applied like they had a name for it, but it's like a sticky glycerin type substance, and it was actually rather sticky. So in the scenes where they throw that eel into the helmet to show them moving up the face, it was sticking to them, but it would also stick to the ear set, so to speak, that they made. And so they had a very fine wire that they would pull on this. You know, I don't know what you want to call it, like a dummy or a prop of this eel. And it would have just enough tension on the slimy substance that when they pulled it, it would make it kind of wriggle and undulate forward. And it was so cool that they decided to just go with it. So that motion wasn't like originally designed to be that way, but when it actually started working for them, they said, cool, we're going to use that. So definitely one of the scariest effects that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And even today, it's creepy.
When you said earwigs wigged you out, yeah, we had earwigs in our house, and every time I saw one, I was like, oh no. Where's my phaser?
Yes. 100%. And I mean, that was for years before I got over that. But even now, I still don't like him too much. But the original inspiration for these was based off of young eels that they saw, you know, like, I don't know, adolescent eels or larval eels. I'm not good with the biology part of that, but that was the inspiration, and that's what they made. And it kudos to the person who made that, because it doesn't look fake. You know, it doesn't look like the 1960s type of stuff either. The practical effect was great. Nowadays, you would use CGI, and it would just have an uncanny valley effect, and you'd hate it. You wouldn't believe that it went into anyone's ear. This, people were terrified of.
When it came out of Chekhov's ear, and you can see the blood ooze out of his ear, that was almost more like, because I don't know. I mean, being in there is gross too, but when it was coming out of his ear, that effect was disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, earwigs. What hairy ears? I mean, other than Bears, Cats, Dog, we love our furry ears. Dislike, not hated, and yes, a mom's job to say no. There you go. Oh my God! And Mark's now. It's that psychosomatic stuff. Now I think I have something in my ear. By the way, folks, we have 26 votes already. Nobody has voted less than a B. We have 88% at A, 12% at B. So obviously, you know, it is a very effective, very, very good movie. Daisy, go ahead and see if there's any more notes or thoughts that you have prepared. I want JT to go ahead and go through these next couple slides for kind of briefly as he can.
Oh,
yeah. Let JT go through the slides, and then we'll come back and finish up on any points that we want to make.
So I just threw a few slides together for Dadman so we could talk about the other things surrounding the film. And so we have other pieces of media, and it's, well, it might enable Mark D with the C if he doesn't already own all of these, but I have a feeling he probably does. So after the movie came out, there's a brief story about how they wrote a lot of the book but didn't have the ending done, and so they started printing the book except for the last chapter so they could start to get it out to publishers in time and all of this and that. But what you see on the far left with the white and the Khan interesting thing there with Kirk and Spock in the front, that is the original novelization in English in the United States. There are a lot of cool book covers, alternate book covers for other languages, but I can't put 50 books on here. So to the to the right of that is a very, very expensive book if you buy it new. It is the original script of the book. I believe it's something like $70 at retail now if you want it new. But that is right. So there
That would be cool.
That would be cool to have. And just seeing some of this artwork and some of the variations, I feel like is really nice to look at as well. Above that is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan photo story. And when you see things like Star Trek II, it helps to know when it was released. If you see Star Trek II, it was usually released after the movie was in a complete state. They did not add Star Trek II. It was just The Wrath of Khan in earlier developments of everything. So you'll even see that on some of the DVD releases. It's just called The Wrath of Khan, or the VHS releases. Some of these others came later. The next book,
my God, Florida Purpose. Sorry.
Nice.
But
Nice.
Mark needs 100 Q-tips. All right, sorry, JT. I just could not. Golly. And hello to your Muslim uncle. Good to see you tonight. He gave it the grade that players of Janetta Japanese survival horror would give it, an S score.
Yes,
right.
That's the highest tier is S.
Very nice.
Okay, thank you for interpreting that for me. Very good. I tell you what, is like if you missed it earlier, I said I really like this. Watching it the second time, I'm glad JT came on New Year's Eve and just like or New Year's Day and looked at me like I had lost a head. Actually, it was the first time JT ever showed himself on camera. That's how moved he was to come after me about, Dad, man, we're going to have words or fight on this one.
Right.
I'm going to drive to Florida to deal with this.
Yeah, I got to get on a flight. Otherwise, yeah.
Actually, if Wes Cagle's still here, we had we did have one of the squirrel streams a while back. We had a case where a New Jersey man lost online to gambling to a Florida resident, left New Jersey, flew down here, beat the guy up in Florida, and got arrested. So
lovely.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I threw a Florida man story. Well, it's actually New Jersey again, Terry Rose. It's always New Jersey coming to Florida causing problems. And Snort Poopa said squirrel. All right. I'm sorry, JT. Go ahead with the sorry. Because I know we got other things here too, right? The The literature.
Sorry. Go back one. Just a couple more on that previous one. Sorry. Yep. The next one is this blue one by Alan Asherman. I do not have. It's not currently in print. And it's moderately priced. Take your chances at the condition. That's the making of. These next two books I read extensively getting ready for this episode. The one above is newer. That was made for the 40th anniversary, and that talks about the Genesis trilogy. So, Dadman, when you were talking about it's part of a 3-movie set, it does have some beautiful pictures and artwork in there for all 3 movies. If you like looking at alternate playbills or covers or artwork, they have some cool Japanese things that you would see in a theater advertising for the film, and some Polish ones in there too. Just interesting artwork. They do mention the filth in this book, and there are some spelling and grammar mistakes, so take that for what you will. The next one in the bottom right, I would say, is much more definitive. It's 200 odd pages about the making of the classic film. It has some interviews from Leonard Nimoy's daughter and some other things like that. I would consider this much more of a reputable source than the one above. But it's very expensive if you buy it hardcover. They do sell it online digitally. So there we go. All right. Next one, please, sir.
All righty. Yeah, I just noticed I got my little Christmas emote up, my little Christmas guy up in the corner from mine and Bucky's stream last week. So never too early. July, Christmas in July. We're almost out of July. So, all right, comics and graphic novels.
Yep.
Right.
So this is not a comprehensive.
By the way, before you get started
collection.
too much, before you get started, DJ Ronnie G's following up on Snorter Poopus's example. Preparation Eel. Oh gosh.
So I believe these 3 comics were done in the late 2000s, around the 2009 movie time period. These are a retelling of the movie in comic form. The artwork is
Yeah, good night,
okay.
bro.
The
Good.
likenesses just are not there. The likenesses really are not there. If you don't know all the lines from the movie, you might be confused about who is whom in some of this. But you know what you're getting. You're just getting the movie. But the four on the right are a short series, a prequel, Khan Ruling in Hell. And it's not A canon. It's definitely B canon. So, yeah, right, Fiona.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Mark D with the C loves this series too. I love it.
Yeah, he's talking about he needs to buy a book. I'm amazed he doesn't have them all.
Yeah. So Star Trek Khan Ruling in Hell is another IDW series. It talks about MacGyver's, his wife, and how the planet transitions from a jungle into a desert wasteland and the struggles that they go through, and how a bunch of people are deleted over the course of everything, and how Khan starts becoming very upset with Kirk, but not right away. Actually, not right away. They believe that Kirk will return according to his promise to check back in. And by the time of the movie, he's kind of like, yeah, they're not coming.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he kind of leads the crew on a little bit. I don't want to give away too much, but it is a good read. Digital is the easiest place to find it. There's other books about Khan. We don't have all night. So
no, I got you. I got you. Go ahead, Daisy.
I'm starting the one that's supposed to be about Khan back in the 90s. So the lead up to his becoming a leader on Earth, and I guess before he gets put on the Botany Bay. I got a really good deal on it. It's a hardcover. It's a pretty thick book. But I misplaced it, so I couldn't take a picture of it with VHS tapes.
Right. Well, Fiona, you can also add Q-tips to the list of birthday gifts for Mark, because he was talking about the earbuds earlier. He needed Q-tips, 100 from Sort of Poopus. So include a box of Q-tips for Mark with those white cotton gloves. All right. Cool. JT, are we ready to move on to the next one? All right. So music. Oh, everybody's favorite. I love music.
So on the left was one of the covers for the old vinyl that you would have when the movie released. There are different covers for different regions, but this is just a sampling. Then you have, what is that? The next one up there at the top is the extended version. Don't ask me the difference between that and the original. Then you have in the bottom right the remastered version, and then in the bottom center there you have the 40th anniversary vinyl, and that one has a psychedelic multicolored vinyl that's quite trippy to look at, like tie-dye almost.
But does the music okay, because I know like there's a Star Wars album that's kind of like techno funk. Yeah, okay.
So the bottom right is actually the CD cover. So you can kind of see how things have changed a bit. And there's artwork on the back, there's artwork on the insides of all these, but I would feel only comfortable doing that if I had the physical copy in front of me and showing it live. So, because putting them as small pictures doesn't do it justice. But just as a sampling of, hey, this is some cool artwork.
The music was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
and one more.
All right. The home release. Yeah.
Yes. So these are not all the covers. Not even close. International versions, British versions.
The vinyl and Laserdisc hanging on his wall.
Nice. So there are many, many, many more of these if you go into Region 2 and go through all the years. What I could find, the one on the far left and the one above and next to it are the VHS and Betamax releases. So for those of you talking about the Betamax earlier, if you still have it, the cover to it should look like that. So some interesting differences in the artwork. You go below that, and that is a DVD release for the widescreen version. Then to the right of that, you have a Best Buy release with The Wrath of Khan bundled with The Voyage Home. And above that, you have the motion picture bundled with The Wrath of Khan at Walmart. So you have some double feature actions going on there. What you're getting so far is the theatrical release, most likely, but sometimes you can get the expanded version.
Mhm.
Then you have the next two. You have a widescreen director's edition in silver there, and then you have the first Blu-ray release. And that one is part of a collection. I'm sure a lot of people here have that, where it has kind of that color with Star Trek and the Delta for all of the movie run through TNG. Not my favorite cover, but there you go. The bottom right is a Blu-ray of the director's cut, Wrath of Khan, with some interesting illustration there.
Mhm.
I'm sure if we had Hungry here, he would have lots of cool things he could say about that.
Yeah,
But
I know. I hope he's okay because he did show up earlier tonight, even if he inputted from the chat. But I know
Right.
he goes back and rewatches. But yeah,
right. And what I would consider is the current definitive edition is the one on the top right. That's the 4K Ultra HD plus Blu-ray with the director's and theatrical editions on the disc for the 40th anniversary. I think it's one of the better looking editions, but it's also the most comprehensive. So you're not fretting about which widescreen or standard do I have, directors or theatrical, 4K or 1080p. You just get it all in the box. So
Much easier.
yes, but you can see I probably have 4 of these in my collection, and I'm not even close. Like that's probably 5 to 10% of all the editions ever released. So if you're like me, many of you have multiples of these over the years.
Mhm. Yeah, I have
So.
one inside the wrapper too. So
Oh yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. I did not want to break open that 4K one. It's still in the wrapper.
now, Sort of Poopus is asking, do any of the DVDs have commentaries?
Oh gosh, I'm sure they do, but which one is which? Snurtapoopus, I'm going to have to start going into my tubs of old DVDs and start looking to tell you which ones do and
Mhm.
which ones don't.
A lot of times, if you buy the multi-disc set, they'll have commentaries. Most all movies do. I mean, as
Mhm.
long as you don't get the single one. So, all right. Well, oh gosh. I gotta. Let's see. A couple of things actually. At no point, because somebody had asked about why didn't Kirk go back and check on them, and then Kirk never promised to check in. To somebody that says those men went, and he says those men went to tame a continent. Can you tame a world? And so, and then says also, who'd be crazy enough to check in on them 72 crazy Napoleons running around? Let's be even check on them. It'll be fine. Shirley, really? Well, yep. We can see how that goes. And Buddy's saying that lower right director's cut has 2 release versions. The one with white barcode and black on the back and is an older transfer, and one with the yellow is a newer, better one.
What I will say about the Kirk not going back and checking in, which I don't believe he said he would in Space Seed. But what I did found funny is when the Reliant comes to see whether there's on Ceti Alpha 6, if there's any life forms, why could they not tell that there was a planet missing in that solar system?
Yeah. And like we said, there's some holes, some consistency and issues there.
It's still amazing.
But still,
I'm just
yeah,
saying
it is.
that
I know.
you could look at different things and go, well, if this ship comes and it can't even tell one of the planets is missing, I suppose everyone just thought, oh, everything's fine, and just never went back.
You know, yeah, it is interesting. That's where sometimes I end up putting the MST3K. It's just a movie.
Yes,
Just-
it is.
Now, Snortopoopas, because you two are music geniuses, is asking, and I'm not sure the context or who is here, so maybe y'all can address it. Snortopoopas is observing, what's interesting to me is, as a movie score geek, how many times the same basic motifs appear in a number of Horner scores. Horner's the composer, I guess.
Is the composer, yes. So I did see an interview with Horner about doing the music, and he specifically made very short, quote unquote, themes for like Khan and others, because he felt that in the space battles you might get a little lost if in the musical cues. So he would replay brief motifs of Khan's versus the Enterprise or Kirk, so that you could see which way the battle. So in essence, what he was doing is you could close your eyes and you could still figure out which ship was firing or which one seemed to be getting the upper hand in how he approached doing the music for this movie.
That's interesting. I mean, because I love the music, I love the scores and stuff. But when you hear why they do it, how they play, and we talked about that too on our other streams, Buck Rogers, and when we had a special Battlestar Galactica, it was really that how music makes a movie, even a TV show.
Yes,
it really can add a lot. So RNTZ says it's fair, although space is immensely big. Although you think Chekhov might say, by the way, Captain, there's a colony of dangerous superhumans on City Alpha Phi. Let's make sure we don't go there. So, and Snortopoopa said he likes that he repeats motifs, almost like having an additional Star Trek scores. Exactly. So, all right. Well, folks, we're going to start to wrap up. We got my normal co-host Daisy Blossom here with me tonight. And, of course, our special guest, JT Kirk, here talking Wrath of Khan. Any final thoughts? JT, we'll let you go first.
Oh, geez. I mean, if we really spent 24 hours on a stream, we could probably do it. I just love the movie that much.
Well, maybe this year for my New Year's around the world, you can join me for as much as you can hang out. And that'll be the perfect time to fill in for 24 hours.
Right. But no, I'd just like to say, Dadman, I'm glad you gave the movie another chance, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I really am. It's nice to be able to share something that is so near and dear to me with somebody else new now. So that would be probably the biggest thing I took away from this evening, outside of just having fun, was just hearing that you enjoyed it on the rewatch. So
yeah,
I'll leave it at that. And thank you.
Were you scared that I wouldn't like it again?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know. For all the stuff we've watched, I had no idea, and you never gave it away. I was really trying to get it out of you all week, and you were stringing us along on X. So yeah,
hey,
I stayed away from X because I could see you guys kind of needling at him, and I was like, I don't want to know the answer. So I stayed away from except for the Khan thing, because they were giggling at you that you'd only seen it one other time.
Oh yeah.
So this would only be your second time. So that was, and then you used the meh when you thought the first time you watched it was meh, and then I went, okay, I'm sorry, that's a bridge too far. I have to do a little, make a little meme and send it to you, and then I'm off. I'm out of Twin Flat again.
Dude, I tell you, it was just like JT coming on that night on New Year's Day. Actually, it was like showing his face, like, I got to respond to that. This is going to take a little extra something. So, not just a thing. And RRTZ, glad that you were able to stay with us a lot tonight. Great stream. Thanks for sharing Wrath of Khan. Yes. Great to be able to enjoy this wonderful film. Other fans, while I'm homesick. Oh, well, I hope you feel better soon. So, definitely. JT, can you, while I'm talking, do y'all have any other thoughts? But JT, can you work to put Mrs. Link in the chat for me?
Certainly. On it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Daisy. I'm all set with my thoughts.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was typing an answer to someone in chat.
You're working.
What was the question?
It's okay. You're welcome, Masters. Great to have you. Just a final thoughts. Daisy. I don't know that we got your final thoughts. We kind of got excited there. Remember, feed the
Oh,
bears.
I would also like to say that we all did Buck Rogers together, and you and I have done several movies together, and it was
Mhm.
really really wonderful that you agreed to do this, and I'm really glad, JT, that you came on. And I'm very glad
And
you gave it a second try and that you really liked it the
yeah,
second
it was.
time. And
It,
that's really cool.
and it was nice, and I really enjoyed it. I hated. Like I said, I just don't understand why the first time it didn't. It had everything I'd want. Bang bang pew pew. It was strategic. It had felt like a war movie, and it really had. I just don't know. I can't explain it. But Fiona has one more question. JT and Daisy, she's asking: Is she the only one that 3 was ruined by the Savick recasting?
There were
Um,
several
gosh,
things
the
that had
recasting
a.
didn't help.
No, it didn't. Yeah, I think we could go on for another couple hours discussing why, as wonderful as it was to have Spock back, why there were a whole lot of things with that one that made it a problem. It's an odd
Mm-hmm.
numbered one. It wasn't an even number of one. That's what the problem was.
Mm.
JT, wink, wink.
Exactly. I'll say it didn't help things, Fiona. There were other things that really make the odd numbered episodes suffer. And I love Mark D with the C's clip where the Klingon is kicking Kirk is kicking the Klingon. I have had enough of you. That's kind of how I feel about number 3. So yeah.
Yeah, it
Anyway.
wasn't.
Mhm.
It wasn't the worst, but it was unfortunately for this being so well done, especially after the first one, and then to have them follow it up with the third one. I went back to, oh dear, what have you done to my Star Trek?
Yeah, it's not. It's yeah. There's some things that you can actually do, and there's sometimes when it crosses that line, So, let's see. Yeah, I got you with that. All right. It's like when Buck Rogers. Remember Buck Rogers, the season when they did Twiggy's voice,
Mm,
when they
that
did
was
not have.
terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, there were reasons why they couldn't use Mel Blanc, but still, it was just it had that much of an effect on everything. It really changed it to a point where some people could not deal with it. In all honesty. So, all right. Let me see, folks. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up one thing real quick before I go out. Um, trying to get it. There we go. Ah, crap. Don't you hate we're trying to find something and you're like, you can't get it to work right?
No, I'm sorry. I'm
It's like,
laughing at chat.
oh, they are. Well, go ahead and laugh at chat.
I
That's
know.
funny.
Well,
That's what.
I know Princess Fiona from a different chat. There's a
Mm-hmm.
long-standing joke about giving on a scale of 1 to 10. At least I think that's what you're talking about, Princess Fiona. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this lady? Because they're mostly guys. And the joke is he always gives them a 1, but it's become a term of endearment, so it's kind of a joke. And that's what I was laughing at. I'm sorry. I got into the chat and went, "Oh, okay, that's funny." Not what you were doing. Sorry, different chat.
That's okay.
You have to be there. They're Brits. They're all very British, and you have to.
Yes.
It's a
Uh,
Yes.
whole
Brit, but
different reason why it's funny. I'm sorry, I can't convey it properly.
yeah, like I said, I am trying to find something really quick that I'm trying to get it queued up to
Well, that's fine.
mention. Yeah.
You want me
So,
to
but
tell you one more thing I found in my
yeah, go
notes really
ahead.
quick while
Yes,
you're doing that?
absolutely.
Okay, I,
Yeah,
I will vamp for you. So,
please. Oh, you Barn Hungry's
originally,
terms.
so I think I have this correct, JT, because sometimes I forget the names of things. The USS Enterprise is a Constitution class. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so originally this movie was going to have The Reliant was supposed to be another Constitution class. However, they they didn't think too highly of the audience and thought that they would get confused between the two ships, which one was which, because they would look too similar. So that's why they decided to change the class. And this, I forget what class the Reliant is, but this is the first time that
Miranda.
appeared.
Mhm.
Yes, it's the first time that appeared. And the people doing the special effects loved that ship because they had used the Enterprise, the original one from the motion picture, and it's big, huge, heavy. It has all kinds of wires in it for all the lighting and everything. And they didn't like to deal with that ship because it was just too hard to deal with. And the new one was much lighter and had all the newfangled things in it. But I thought it was funny. Oh, we had to create an entire different class of ship because we thought the Star Trek audience would be too stupid to figure out what the two different ships were.
Oh man, yeah.
Okay. I've
That's,
said my piece now, but I did think it was cute and I thought that was a very beautiful ship, the Reliant.
yeah.
The
It was.
the thing across the top, the bar across the top of it when you're looking straight at it is very cool.
It just amazed me that the Reliant. I always pictured the Enterprise being tougher because it looked bigger, and but the Reliant. I just looked like at the Reliant as just like a little scout ship, and it was like, no, that thing's
They also got the first
Reliant
shot
played
in.
nice. Yeah, they got the first shot in.
They were all one big happy fleet.
Happy family fleet. Yes, we'll leave our shields down and all that, and then poor Savick is trying to say, hey, we should, when you can't establish communications with another ship, you should raise your shields. And the captain was no. That whole thing when he's trying to break into their shield code and he puts his glasses back on.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at all of the people.
Yeah.
Like, I've worn glasses forever, but for people who have to get their reading glasses and they keep trying to hide their reading glasses because they can't see what they're doing, that was hysterical.
Snorter Poopus right here. Star Trek audiences never read whole numbers and names ever. I guess I'm not a real Star Trek. I do. I kept watching the movie.
He was being sarcastic.
He was, because I'm like sitting there. That's okay. Folks,
CC 1701 was the first Enterprise, and then they've added letters after that.
Well, it's like I'm watching some things about some history documents about a Midway, and a lot of times they talk about aircraft carrier operations and stuff. A lot of times it's who attacks first, and that's very, very. That's what they had a realistic military feel for it, which really made a big difference to me in this movie. So, well, with that said, we are going to wrap up. We are going to close now. Folks, thank y'all for being here, everybody here. But JT here put in for the Mrs. channel. Make sure y'all support her, okay? But I'm going to show you my stuff here, folks, first. Here. You can find me anytime. Go back, look at the old videos on youtube.com, twitch.tv, at DeadmanWalking55. You can find me also on Twitter whenever I do go live on X at DeadmanWalking55 also. So do that. But what I want you to do, I want to leave y'all tonight because, let's see, check out the Mrs. channel. Absolutely. Because I tell you what, there's, she's great. She does a great job. Positivity every morning, something different out there for everybody. And go like and support her. And we appreciate you both, the support for both of our channels. And I really hope that y'all can support her, help her to get towards monetization, get the word out about her channel for all that she does. And like I said, you can follow me on Twitter. I will, when I do go live in the future going forward, you get the notifications on the YouTube, Twitch, and watch Twitter, because that's where I'll say when I go live. But it will be, so make sure you get the notifications so when I do go live in the future, for going forward for a bit. But hey, like she says, folks, and remember this until the next time I am with you and meet you. Be kind, show love. You're not promised tomorrow, so go to bed with no regrets. And with that, folks, until I see you again, have a great night, and bye, and thanks for being here. Bye, all.
Bye.